Today's show, I'm going to talk about the anti-Christian opening ceremony. A lot of people have been asking me, Anomaly, you haven't said anything, as a Christian or as somebody from the West. People need to speak up about this anti-Christian blasphemous Paris ceremony opening for the Olympics 2024. And I have a really unpopular opinion about it. I don't think it's going to line up with a lot of people. So I'm naturally excited to share that. And the second one is there's a lot of conspiracy theories about Trump's ear healing so quickly. So I just wanted to bring this up on the screen real quick. That is the show for today. So I'm going to talk about those two things. Also, the Kamala Harris vibe shift, the election, a lot of stuff that I haven't really spoken about too much over the last couple weeks. Hope you enjoy today's show. Should be an interesting one. I have a lot to say about the topic. And I think even though what I'm going to say is unpopular, I think it's really true. And this is why I'm just going to go on a little rant before I play my intro. When it comes to politics, it's always like left and right. And I know that one side seems more right than the other, but they have you in this controlled game where you're outraged at what's going on, but you can't get to the root of why it's even happening in the first place. And then sometimes the people that you think are fighting it are actually fueling the same thing you're complaining about. God bless you. Dreamer podcast starts now.
It's the Dream Rare Podcast. Welcome to the show. The way to get the news at the desk or on the road. Let's go. God is great and success in our...
What's going on, folks? Let's see who's here real quick. Hold on one sec. I got to do some things in the back and we're good. Let's see who we got. We got Adam, Marla, George, Amy, Catherine, Lara, Brian. That's enough name dropping out here. I'm not trying to brag, but let's just say I got a lot of friends out here watching the show. You know what I'm saying? We're hundreds deep. Yes, sir. Anyway. All right. So when it comes to the opening ceremony, I'm just going to start on that. We'll just show this graphic again for interest reasons. I'm going to talk about the interesting. A lot of people are questioning, like, is Trump's ear like super healed or whatever? We'll talk about that second. But first, here's the news. Apology after Christians mocked an opening ceremony. There's like huge backlash. A lot of Muslims are upset too. Just like, oh, that was so blasphemous and crazy. I'm just going to be transparent. I didn't watch the whole thing. I saw images. I saw clips. I think I saw like a lady with a beard or something. And, that stuff used to be relegated to the circus, back in the 1900s. It's like, look, we got the fat man who's literally less fat than like everybody today. Like the fat guy in like the Barnum and Bailey circus was like your average Walmart customer now. There's like, I didn't make that joke up, by the way. There's memes going around saying that stuff. Like, the world's fattest man. And then you're like, I just saw 7 people fatter than that at the local Walmart. Anyway, the bearded lady, whatever's going on, I don't know. I saw like clips, images, and I'm like, that's enough. I don't need to subject myself to this. I get it. And if I was going to have this huge opinion of like, this is horrible, this is terrible, screw them, they're the whole problem in the world, then I probably would have watched the whole thing so I could really like take in how evil or twisted it really was. I saw a few people in the comments saying like they were just making fun of Greek mythology, not Christianity. Whatever, it's not my cup of tea. With that being said, one thing that I noticed is on a world scale, America is beefing with countries that disagree with that type of stuff. And I haven't seen anyone break it down like this. So I'm gonna break it down like this. So let's start with China. And when I talk about China, Iran, and Russia, those are 3 of America's enemies. They might not be your enemies. You might dislike 2 of them. Maybe you're right wing and you think China's trying to take over in Iran, but like Russia's not that bad. Or maybe you hate Russia, but you think like Iran. Everybody has a different opinion, but the enemy of the American government, essentially, in both parties is China, Russia, and Iran. Let's break down those 3 countries when it comes to like opening ceremonies and stuff. One thing that I saw going viral was China had an opening ceremony where there were like hundreds of thousands or however many people with drums. Like it was just beautiful and it was amazing. And it's like China wouldn't do what France just did. And that's the enemy of America. America fights all these nationalistic countries that are not just completely like gay and like pushing this type of stuff to the masses, like so in your face ridiculous that it's like, it's not even like beautiful or interesting. It's just like weird and not talented. Like it's not like Queen playing We Will Rock You. We're like, yo, those gay guys are crushing up there. It's just like everything's just so dumb and dumbed down and stupid and fat and ugly. And I'm not trying to say fat is ugly or take it as you want. I'm not trying to like diss people based on their weight, but you get what I'm saying. Like everything's just so weird where everyone's bringing up the fact that the China one was not weird and it was like awesome. Well, let's look at China. Just saying. George Soros, he writes op-eds, right? George Soros wrote an op-ed and he said Xi Jinping in China is the biggest threat to Western civilization. That article was tweeted by Vivek Ramaswamy, who everybody wants to be vice president, right? He agrees with George Soros. China's a huge threat. Trump agrees. Nancy Pelosi agrees. America's fighting with China over Taiwan. So it's like, what plans does America have for China? Not that it's going to be able to beat China like that, but in general, it's like, have you noticed that America's enemies are the ones that don't do this? Let's go to Russia. Russians, even though they're not really allowed in the Olympics, they have to pretend like they're from a no-name country because the Western liberal gay world order, the Frances of the world and the Americas of the world, right? They're like, oh, Russia's so bad for doing what we've literally probably done dozens of times throughout the world and invaded countries or whatever. So they can't even be part of the Olympics. Russian Christians are upset. Russian Muslims are upset. I saw Islam Makhachev. He's a champion friend and training partner of Khabib Nurmagomedov, or I would say like almost basically like a non-related brother. They've been training since they were kids to be champions, which they both were. But anyway, he's upset. He's like, this is ridiculous. And it's like, America's at war with Russia. You look at America, they go into Ukraine. Ukraine gets more gay, more liberal. Maybe you like that. Maybe you're liberal and you're like, that's awesome. I want, Ukraine to be like San Francisco a little bit more. Maybe you're conservative and you're like, I don't want Ukraine to be like San Francisco. But it's like Russia gets more Christian and Ukraine gets more Antichrist. You look at Iran. Iran thinks what happened was blasphemous. I'm not saying you should live in Iran. I'm not saying it's great. I'm not a fan of the country in the sense like, I have no connections to Iran. But in general, it's like Iran's upset by that. Who's not upset by the opening ceremony? All of America's allies, because that's America's foreign policy. It's to go to countries that are nationalistic, that are not Antichrist, and destroy their nation, make them quote unquote multiculturalism or make them subservient to the West, and then inflict gayness. And that's what everybody says. And here's the part that I'm trying to paint for conservatives, because I think they're missing this part sometimes, is it's not just the left wing that does that. Like if you listen to Ted Cruz, if you listen to Donald Trump, if you listen to anybody in the Republican Party, listen to their foreign policy. It's to go to Africa and make gayness more legal. It's to go to Iran and make them more feminism. Bring feminism, bring gay, bring the things that turn France into what you just saw right there. So I'm not saying not to vote for Trump. I think he's the best option. I think Kamala sucks and I hope that Trump wins. But with all that being said, it's like, this is my whole beef with the Christian and conservative upset outrage at the Olympics. That's all Christians and conservatives in the West can ever do, is just be outraged, but be completely oblivious to how it's really happening and why it's never going to change. Because if anybody around the world rejects the opening ceremony, they're at war with America. Almost every country that doesn't like that stuff, Eastern Europe, the strong Christian conservative nations, a lot of them are white. Then you have these Asian nations like China, where they might be a little communist. They might be doing some weirdo stuff. You might not want to live there. I don't want to live there. I'm not like a huge fan of their culture. However, they're a strong nation. They don't want their people to have that. They're building things. Crime rates are pretty low there. So it's like I'm just being honest. This might come off wrong, like everything I ever say, so I don't care. But the West, all of your natural allies are being manipulated through the media to convince you that they're the enemy, where it's like, you don't have to want to be like Iran. You don't have to want to be Iran. You don't have to want to be Russia or be China or these big nations that, have tens of millions or billions, perhaps when it comes to China people. But it's like, do you have more in common with, the Muslim who likes Jesus Christ and doesn't want people to make fun of him? Or do you have more in common with the, bearded lady opening ceremony with Macron, clapping like a seal in France? Like these are not natural allies to us because they're insane. Even Paris is getting, like, from what I heard, super ghetto and super shitty, just like American cities are. Like everything's getting more ghetto. We used to live in a high trust society. Now we don't. And it sucks. It sucks for me. It sucks for you. Like when you live in an area where you're like, oh, my car's not going to get robbed. I'm not going to get stabbed by a random person. It's nice. Nobody wants to live in an area that's super dangerous. You go to the hood in any area of America or probably the world, and they have bars on the window. They don't want to have bars on the window. Windows are for looking out. It's for sunshine pouring in. But it's so shitty in a lot of parts of America and the world, and I've lived in a lot of these neighborhoods before, where your windows can't even show because somebody will break into it like a savage. So you got to put bars on your windows. Yeah, I want to see the sunset. Yeah, I want to see the sunrise, but I can't because I got to put the bars for my own security. That's what America is becoming right now, a shithole where everybody doesn't feel safe. Even in nice areas, now criminals are looking to exploit them because people aren't paying attention and they don't have bars and they're not trying to live this savage life. So it's like when you look at all these problems in America, I'm just saying it's like, they're having those problems in France. They're having those problems in Europe. And what else are they having? Ceremonies like this shit. So I'm just being honest. I know conservatives don't like to see this, but try to figure out the foreign policy of even Trump and his donors. I know people don't want to think that happens, but look at the foreign policy of the Republican and Democratic Party. You know, they might disagree on Israel and Palestine and Ukraine and Russia, but behind the scenes, they really don't disagree that much. And in general, they look at the countries that reject this type of antichrist, blasphemous, like, you know, the bearded lady show or whatever they're doing, like saying they're not mocking the supper or whatever you perceive it as. Go around the world and find the strong nationalistic countries that don't like that shit, and you'll find an enemy of America. Not just the enemy of the American left, but the enemy of the American right. And this is why I've said this for 4 years now, perhaps more. I don't really know. I'm losing track of time. The right wing in America is fake opposition. They're controlled opposition. They're not real opposition. When I say that, people don't want to hear it. Oh, you're just hating. Oh, you're such a complainer. No, here's the difference between me and other people. And I'm just painting it, not to brag, but this job that I'm doing right now, it wasn't a job 5-6 years ago. Like we kind of just made it up by mistake. At least I did. I don't know other people, maybe they did it purposely, but in general, you'd have the Sean Hannitys of the world and you'd have the New York Times of the world. You'd have like serious publications, which people are realizing now were mostly controlled. You had television hosts, which people are realizing now were mostly controlled, but you didn't really have anything besides journalism and media heads. Now you have social media, right? So people assume, and I'm not trying to be rude, I'm just being straightforward. People assume that I'm doing what people like David Harris Jr. are doing, or I'm doing what like Dan Bongino's doing. And no disrespect to them both. I've met David Harris Jr. He's a nice guy, right? Dan Bongino makes a lot of sense, right? He's been very successful and he's a very well-known figure. But it's like some people, and I don't want to speculate on them, but it's like they're not doing analysis. Like mine, I do news analysis. I'm analyzing the news. Some people, they're just like Republicans or they're Trump supporters. So it's like they're analyzing things, but at the end of the day, their Trump support is higher. It's like being a Christian. You're like, yeah, I'm this and that, but my faith is in Christ. So it's like, I'm just analyzing what I see, and other people are just like, you know, putting on a show and just telling you like, yeah, this and that. And I'm not trying to, you know, be a dick, but it's like in general, everyone will tell you, be outraged at this, be outraged at that, be outraged at this, be outraged at this. But the root of the problem is in our party too. Our foreign policy is going around the world, Trump included. Trump said, and I posted this the other day, he said essentially like, if they take me out, which is possible, make sure we like blow Iran off the map. Like that's the same foreign policy that the Democrats have. Like they're fighting Iran too. I know people think that, oh, because Obama did this and funded Iran a little bit, like the quote unquote uniparty, they're doing the same stuff. In Taiwan, they all agree. In Taiwan, all of them, Trump, Nancy Pelosi, it doesn't matter. They all agree. They hosted the Maduro guy. Now there's some weird election going on in Venezuela. All the Democrats and the Republicans agree. In fact, they brought over the U.S. puppet opposition leader. They brought him to a congressional State of the Union speech under Donald Trump, like a foreign leader. It's probably a U.S. puppet. And then the same thing with China. You can't find George Soros, Vivek Ramaswamy, and Donald Trump and all these people agreeing on anything except for China. George Soros says it's the biggest threat. Donald Trump says it's a huge threat. Vivek Ramaswamy says George Soros' article is great. Why? I don't know. Because America's foreign policy seems to be, I'm not saying China's great. I'm not saying we don't have to like battle them economically and stuff at any point. Like I'm American. I love this country. But do you notice a pattern? We go to Africa, we make them gayer, we make them more liberal. We go to the Middle East, we complain about how conservative they are and how there's no feminism and how they're living a more righteous life according to Islam and Christianity. And then we make them gayer and more liberal. We go to China. We complain that they're not doing all that stuff. And then France, oh, all of our allies are mysteriously just pushing the same bullshit that American media is. Why? Because America and, you know, the country that must not be named because it's obviously hate speech to speak the truth about, this is like the nucleus of the West, and all these other countries are just basically playing suit to what we're doing. And what we're doing is ridiculous. So it's like, if you really want to get to the root of why the France opening ceremony is so ridiculous, it's the same reason why Netflix is ridiculous. It's the same reason why like television's ridiculous. It's the same reason why commercials are ridiculous. It's the same reason why everything's ridiculous in this country. But what you don't realize, and I don't mean to be rude, I think people should vote all Republican and vote for Trump. It's the strategic thing to do. Republicans are fake opposition. They're going to tell you that these things are hurting the country, and then they're going to take these ideas and spread them all over Africa, spread them all over the Middle East, spread them all over Asia, and complain about any country like Russia, China, or Iran that doesn't completely cuck to whatever that opening ceremony was. And that's what they would do. If they could overthrow Putin, they would make it more like San Francisco. If they could overthrow Iran, feminism and antichrist like weirdo vibes would start increasing the same way it does all over America. If they were successful in China, I guarantee you they'd be building a lot less. They'd probably flood it with migrants like they're doing to Europe. And it would be, not China anymore. And even though China's not perfect, and I'm not saying it's like a utopia, it is what it is. It's a nation that rejects a lot of this stupid shit. They do other dumb stuff like wear masks all the time and get afraid of viruses to the point where like, they listen to their government too much. It's like Australia. I talked to my buddy from Australia during the pandemic, and he was conservative, but he trusts the government. Like Australia, they're not America, right? I'm American. I'm not saying these countries are all perfect, but I like Australians. I think they're awesome, but they're not 1776. They weren't born like in a country that basically was founded by distancing space between you and the government and wanting more freedoms. So Australians had no reason to distrust the government until after COVID. Like they all listen because that's like baked into their reality. It's the same thing with China. I'm just saying, like I'm pointing out things that I dislike with these countries, so you don't think I'm like a massive fan of Iran, China, and Russia, because I'm not. I'm not a fan of America, but I'm so tired of the Republican Party just complaining about things that their party's spreading all over the world. How are you going to stop it when all of your natural allies in the world that agree with you on this major topic that's infecting or inflicting all over the world, when you're taking them out and just turning them into like another version of San Francisco? Google all LGBTQ plus laws, the same ones you guys are complaining about in San Francisco and America and California, whatever. Google what happened in Ukraine and what happened in Russia. Russia got more conservative. Russia got closer to the Bible. Ukraine got closer to San Francisco. There's a pattern there. That's what American foreign policy is. And then you got to ask yourself why. Everybody's pointing out that the guy who did the opening ceremony was gay. I haven't looked into it that much, but there's other characteristics to him also. And when you put them together, it's not to blame people or judge, but in general, it's like all gay people wouldn't have done that. And all people of this guy's ethnicity wouldn't have done that. But at the end of the day, when you look at ethnicity and religion and culture, some patterns exist for a reason. There's a reason that when you go to India, you can eat chicken tikka masala. And when Indians move into your neighborhood, they, somebody, not always, but then Indian restaurants start popping up because it's good. And I like it too. Chicken korma is fire, naan bread. Like I like Indian food. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying like things like it's like, oh, an Indian store just came up in my neighborhood for no reason. It's like, no, it's because Indians move there. And I'm not, like I said, I love Indian food. I'm grateful for it. I'm just like, to ignore patterns is just like delusional. It's like, I don't know why all this is happening. It's like everything happens for a reason. And around the world, it's like we instill our culture, which we don't like here, in other places, and then wonder why like no one's agrees with us or they're afraid to agree with us. I don't know. I had something else to say, but I kind of got lost thinking about chicken korma, which is just so creamy and so good. You know what I'm saying? It just hits right. But in general, I just feel like Republicans don't understand what their party's really doing or why it's really doing it. And there's a certain level, and I want to say this too before I move on. There's a certain reason that certain people don't want to understand. Oh, I remember what I was saying about certain ethnicities and cultures. Okay. If you look at Christianity, right? Christianity thinks that our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, obviously there's debates about the Trinity and stuff, but in general, they revere Jesus Christ, to Lord status. At least I know there's a debate of like, well, it's the Father and it's just through him and they're different people. But in general, you get the gist. I know there's some debates within the Christian world. Everybody respects Jesus. Let's just put it that way. You go to Islam, they don't think Jesus Christ is the Lord and Savior, but they think Jesus Christ is a prophet, and they don't like when people disrespect Jesus Christ. There's another religion that has a text that says that Jesus is boiling in hot poop for eternity. Literally, it says Jesus is boiling in hot shit for eternity. That's a text from a different religion, the religion that you can't criticize in America. I'm not saying everyone believes that. It's just like people debate in other religions, but like it's not that hard to figure out in some cases why, you know, there's so much blasphemy going on because some people love it. You look at, this is said by me and Candace Owens, but you go to the Wikipedia of the founder of pornography, Al Goldstein. Look why he said he did pornography. It was like strictly to defile Christians. He was like, I hate you. I'm doing this purposely for you. And it's like, can't look at it though. Can't talk about it. Everything happens for a reason. And if you go around the world taking godly societies or strong nations and turning them into, Ukraine / San Francisco, Western allies, this stuff's going to happen more and more and more. But just to wrap it up, it's not just the left wing doing this. The left wing does it domestically. The Republicans fight it domestically. Nationally, Ted Cruz is a liberal. And I know why he's a liberal nationally. I know why he's part of the liberal world order. I know why he's like, we're bringing gayness to Palestine. I know why. I see these things. The donors, they fund these politicians and they put coins in them and then they just start talking like they're a freaking bubble gum. You put a coin in a bubble gum machine, spits out bubble gum. You put 20 million in a politician, it spits out what you told them to say. And I talked about this concept on my Instagram live, but I didn't do it on Facebook. So I'm just going to make it clear. I'm not being a hater, but people need to understand. This is the analogy I use because it's literally exact. I watch a lot of UFC and mixed martial arts. Monster Energy drink is the big sponsor of, UFC. Same with Bud Light. Why is Bud Light all over? It's because they paid the UFC. Dana White, maybe he picked them out of a group like he says, but like it's not that complicated and it doesn't necessarily make someone a bad person. I don't like Monster Energy, but Monster Energy has a shitload of money. And like every time you see a fighter win, they hold up a Monster bottle. They're not just like, hey, I really naturally just love Monster more than water or anything else. Monster Energy pays them probably a good amount of money just to hold the thing up when like after their fight. They all do it. I've noticed this for like the last year. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. I have fighters that have Monster sponsorships and they're great people. They don't care. They're like, I don't see anything wrong with Monster. It tastes good or whatever. But that's why they're doing it, right? That's all I'm saying. Doesn't make you a bad person, but it doesn't make you a bad person to notice that that's why they're doing it. And it doesn't make them a bad person for doing it. Let's go to politics. People have been brainwashed into this Trump versus the left versus the right, like Romney versus McCain or Obama versus this person. And especially with Trump's like the ultimate character in this plot. So people either love him or hate him, so they can't think properly. Politics has not changed. The reason that Ted Cruz says he wants Uganda to be homosexual, and the reason that he says this, and the reason that he says this when it doesn't really align that much with what he says nationally, is because of he's getting paid millions or tens of millions for his foreign policy. And if some other group was paying him tens of millions of dollars, he'd probably be saying the exact opposite. I want to make this point with JD Vance because JD Vance used to say he was a never Trumper, right? He used to say, I'm a never Trump guy. Why was he a never Trump guy then? And I'm not knocking JD Vance. He seems like a nice guy. JD Vance is a politician. That's what they do, folks. It doesn't matter how much you like him. Doesn't matter how much you want him to win. That's what he does. He was never Trump because Romney and Paul Ryan had all the money and power. It took Trump a few years, but Trump took over the Republican Party. Now you can't even challenge him. DeSantis, who's one of the best governors, if not the best governor, came out and was like, yo, Trump was kind of wrong for too long about the vaccine. And everyone's like, shut the F up, Ron DeSantis. Like, get the hell, like, it's Trump's world. It's Trump's party. Trump controls the donors. So now JD Vance is like a Trump guy. But when it mattered, when it was all on the line and he was conservative, he was a never Trumper. He didn't like this. He didn't like that. He sounded like the gay liberal, And I'm not saying like, I don't know why I said gay. He just sounded super gay in this old things. But, sometimes gay people sound different. You can't really stereotype, but, it's for humor purposes. It's just funny to say the word gay sometimes. But anyway, let's get back to the show. This is just the truth. It's like JD Vance is a politician. He changes when the money changes. People don't want to think that that's happening. They're like, no, the left does that. So does the right. oh, everybody does that, but Ted Cruz, because I saw him at Turning Point, and you're just being hateful. Ted Cruz does it too. He sucks also. Well, Trump would never take money. He's so rich. He just took $100 million from a woman who wants him to do a foreign policy thing for a foreign country with the $100 million she gave him. Like, you didn't see that? So that's all I'm saying. It's like you want to get to the root of why this stuff's happening and stop it. Figure out what's going on in politics. But some people, I don't know if it's an IQ thing or it's because they're just super stubborn. I think it's the second one more, because I don't think it takes that high of an IQ to figure this out. It's like levels to like to seeing this stuff. For example, I'm going to use math as an example, then I'm going to use An0maly because I'm just filled with analogies and symbolism, etc., because I think it helps explain. I didn't do well in math. I think I'm smart enough to do well in math. I just didn't give a shit. And when you don't pay attention and you're stubborn, you're not going to be able to do like triple calculus or the ones the highest level math course. Like you got to pay attention and you got to be smart. It's like both of those things. But like you don't have to be the smartest person in the world, but you got to be like smart enough and then also just really pay attention or else you're lost. I was lost, okay? When it comes to a knot, if you triple or quadruple a knot, you can't just like pull it out. You got to like sit there for 30 minutes to like untangle a knot. And that's like politics. Like, 1 + 1 is 2 is like red is fighting blue. Like that's the easiest equation ever. It's like the blue team and the red team are fighting. That's like level 1. It's like, sure, yeah, that's happening. A higher level is like, wow, blue and the red team are working together, right? But there's politicians that are like above it, like Trump and An0maly, and it's like, yeah, for sure, that's true as well. Like there's definitely levels to how corrupt people are, how free they are. But then when you get to the top level, like the truth is like even these people are controlled. I mean, An0maly seems pretty legit, but with Trump, it's like, I'm not saying he's a bad guy. I'm not saying JD Vance a bad guy, but they're not who you think they are either, because they're also playing the game. Like if I held up a Monster Energy drink right now and said Monster Energy, I'm not doing it randomly. They paid me probably thousands of dollars. And when it comes to athletes, even more than that, or celebrities that are bigger, but whatever. Like it's not rocket science. Like why can't people figure this out? Politicians, people always say that they should wear, sponsors on their shirt like NASCAR, which is a good idea, but you don't need to see that. Like it's all there waiting for people to realize it, but so many people are just too emotionally attached to the narrative, and none of this changes until obviously liberals need to wake up. But conservatives also need to wake up and do the self inner work, because their party is fake opposition. They're fighting all these policies domestically while their foreign policy is to spread them and take out almost any country that opposes them. So how are you going to win that? That's my opinion about the opening ceremony. It's an awesome opinion. Let me pat myself on the back. Man, you're so cool. No, I'm just kidding. I'm joking. I'm very humble. Anyway, I don't know why I did that, but I want some more coffee. I was trying to quit coffee, but it's hard to do a live stream when I'm not jacked up on a little bit of caffeine. I'm going to be honest. All right. So I'm going to get into the second story too and ruffle a few feathers, so to speak. Alex Zek, I like that guy a lot. He said Trump's ear 2 weeks after the incident on July 13th. Was Trump actually shot in the ear? And you see a picture of his ear and it looks pretty good. I would argue, just like, unbiasedly, like at the top, it does look a little bruised or something, like it does look like it's healing on the top if you look at it. So it's debatable. I'm not saying that he's right or wrong, because I haven't really made my stance. Like I don't know what to think about it. I'm kind of just like listening to everybody and trying to like be patient. But here's my thing about like a lot of people are questioning Trump's ear. And there's something that I noticed, at least in my Twitter feed. The people that love Trump like blindly, obsessively, are saying that they don't believe the official narrative. They think that the Secret Service or the Democrats or someone tried to set up Trump and get him killed, because that's kind of what I think as well, to be honest. Like all the evidence I've seen, I can't really tell what's going on. It could be theater, it could be fake, but I do think that they set Trump up. That seems like the most plausible theory to me. But what you notice is that's not the main theory. Everybody's a conspiracy theorist now, because the main theory is this doofy 20-year-old kid, this scumbag, just climbed up a roof with a majestic ladder that no one has explained why it was there yet, pointed a gun at police officers. The Secret Service wasn't in touch with the SWAT team, this and that. The roof was too sloped. Like, what the fuck? Excuse my language. Like, that makes no sense. We're all conspiracy theorists, right? So you can't knock people's theory because we're all conspiracy theorists. They're like, I don't believe that it was a lone shooter that just majestically did that. That's crazy. But anyway, let's just say I noticed this pattern. People that really, 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 really like Trump are saying, how dare liberals and some conservatives question the Trump shooting? How dare you? Our guy got shot. How dare you? How double dog dare you? And it's like, okay, yeah, I get that you don't like liberals, and now liberals are being hypocrites, right? Liberals are the people that don't think everything's a conspiracy theory, everything's QAnon, get your Pfizer vaccine and listen to your government and lock down and, close down beaches. Like, we're not going to talk about it. We're just going to riot for George Floyd. So it's like now the same liberals that were never conspiracy theorists, now they're all conspiracy theorists saying Trump really didn't get shot. It was staged. I mean, I get why the left hates the right. I get why the right hates the left. And then people like Alec that I showed you, and people that I follow like Owen Benjamin, they're questioning the Trump shooting, saying I don't. And even like people that are skeptical of Trump, they're saying like I don't think he really got shot. I think it was like a theater. And what I find interesting about this is people like Alec and people like Owen Benjamin, they don't have an emotional connection to Trump. You know what I'm saying? They both are different people, but they're not like obsessed with Trump. So they're able to look at it and be like, I don't believe it because I'm not obsessed with Trump. Liberals hate Trump. So they're like, I'm questioning it because I hate Trump. And then the people that love Trump don't want to question it. It's like almost a direct Venn diagram where it's like everything just seems like if you're obsessed with Trump, you're just so mad that anyone's questioning it. And I just asked the question where I'm like, listen, if Joe Biden got shot in the ear and he put up his hand and he goes, fight, 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 would you question that? Of course they would. Of course they wouldn't believe that. Why wouldn't they believe that? Because they don't like Joe Biden, and that's going to help Joe Biden. It's a photo op. It's a moment. And I would question that immediately. I'd be like, I don't, but I'm aware of my own bias. So with Trump, like, I think he did kind of get shot, or at least like it definitely damaged his ear. But I don't mind when Owen Benjamin questions it. I don't mind when Alec questions it, because everyone's questioning it. So like I just wanted to talk about it recently. Like, I don't know what to think about the ear. It could have got hit. It could have healed. They could have done plastic surgery. I don't really know, but I just find it funny, like how fake so many people are, where it's like the left don't believe in conspiracy theories until it benefits their bias. Then they believe in it. The right believes in all conspiracy theories, or most conspiracy theories, but then they get upset when the left questions it, or Owen Benjamin questions it, or like Alec questions it, or, I follow some nurse. I think her name is like Andrea Lynn or something. Like, she's not obsessed with Trump. She's questioning it. I saw, some people that like DeSantis more than Trump, they're questioning it. It's almost like a direct line. Like you're obsessed with Trump. You don't want to question it. You're skeptical of Trump and you think it's all theater. You're willing to question it. You hate Trump. You're willing to question it. It's just like, that's the one thing that I just analytically noticed with all this stuff, where I'm just calling a spade a spade. It's like, it is what it is. I don't care if you question it. I don't care if you don't. But that's why politics almost never changes, because I feel like the left, they're always just being fake. Like, it's always just a competition in their head. Like, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I am a conspiracy theorist. Let's lock down because they said this. It's Trump's vaccine. It's Kamala's vaccine. They don't even they're not thinking outside of the story. They're in the story. And then a lot of people on the right, they're in the story also, just on the other side. So even though they're right a lot, like I think conservatives and Trump supporters and people who are in MAGA are right a lot, but they're still like caught in this like world where it's just this game that's never going to end because people can't figure out how it's being played. And I would even say this, I was never really skeptical. I mean, obviously I'm skeptical of the Secret Service. I think like, to me, it looks like they set Trump up. But then when Trump tweeted this, or True Social this made me like take a step back and be like, that's a little theaterish, He tweeted, I shared it on the other show like a couple of days ago or a week ago, where he was like, they might assassinate President Trump. And if they do, let's make sure we blow Iran off the face of the map. And it's like, that's Trump's dying words. Like, oh, they're going to take me out, so let's blow up Iran. Isn't that what the Uniparty wants to do? Isn't that what Lindsey Graham wants to do? Isn't that what John Bolton wants to do? Isn't that what Mitt Romney wants to do? Isn't that what John McCain wants to do? Isn't that what the media wants to do? Your dying wish isn't to build the wall or to save America or to stop the crime or do something for our country. Your dying wish is to blow up a country with like 90 million people in it. Like, that mysteriously adds up with all the neocons and the rhinos that you claim you hate. It's the same thing that Lindsey Graham would wish for on his totally not gay deathbed, because he's totally straight. He just hasn't found the right woman and is never seen with them in public or whatever at the age of 60. But anyway, um, it's like that's what you're tweeting. Like, to me, that's just like you're using this opportunity to push a foreign policy that Israel's desperately trying to push, that the media is desperately trying to push, that the neocons are desperately trying to push. Like, I don't know. It just seems a little off to me. I'm not saying it puts everything into question, but I am going to vote for Trump. I like Trump more. I'm going to vote all Republican. I think it makes sense for a lot of different reasons, including like domestic reasons, like prosecutors, how to handle crime. Like, I'm going all Republican personally, but just because that happened 3 weeks ago, it doesn't mean that like all these other things went away and now he's going to be like the leader we want him to be. Politics isn't what we want it to be. It is what it is. And there's no sense in getting angry at it. You just got to deal with it and act accordingly. But I believe with the first story and the second story, when the people of the world in America wake up to what's going on and they start living it through their actions and also just being more self-aware, that's when the culture changes. When you're just running in circles, you might think you're fighting the trans drags thing from France, but in reality, your politicians and your party's funding and it's almost ensuring that it happens everywhere while taking out countries and leaders that don't like that stuff. So it's like these are the things that are happening. On the last note, then I'm going to read a few comments. The Kamala thing is just so weird to me because like I'm trying to talk to people outside of my own echo chamber. Because in my world, like most of my friends agree with me, obviously, but also, I have more conservative friends than liberal. Like most people that don't fully agree with me, they like Trump. They're all Republican. They don't question him like at all, you know. So I'm trying to like talk to other people, and it does feel like the vibe shift is getting like weird. Like after Trump got shot, it was like, oh, Trump's gonna win. He's gonna win by 30 points, and that's when this is also like it's like either they set Trump up and try to kill him, in my opinion, or it's all just theater designed to like run us in circles and give us a story when the finale is going to be what it is anyway. And we're not going to be able to change it. But in general, it's like after he got shot, I was like, I'm going to the ballot box. I'm voting for Trump. I'm voting all Republican like everybody else. Like I'm in and I'm still in. But then once they switched it out, I was like, oh, shoot, like Trump's alive. We got to get Joe Biden out of there. That's what I interpreted from the whole thing. It's like, oh, Trump's alive. Oh, Trump didn't die today. Oh, let's get Biden out of there as soon as possible. And they did it. And it's obvious and it's sneaky and it's ridiculous. And anybody paying attention knows how crazy it is. But it seems to be like weirdly working because there's nothing about Joe Biden. Like he's like the worst of the worst. Like, and I'm not saying color matters because for me, I don't give a shit about Joe Biden being a white man. Like it's not like a bad thing or I'm like, oh, he's white guy. I can't vote. I'm not a liberal, but in general, like liberals look at Joe Biden. He's old as fuck. Sorry, excuse my language. He's like delusional. He can't speak. He's getting destroyed by Trump because he's just so old. And Trump is also really old, by the way, too. Like if you look at him, but Biden's like old. Okay. So there's like nothing going on. There's nothing. Like he's everything wrong. Everything wrong is Biden. So they're like, we got to get rid of this guy because if Trump's alive, we can't beat him. Then they bring in Kamala. We know on my show, if you pay attention, Kamala is wildly unimpressive. She's not interesting. Her personality sucks. She laughs like nervously all the time, she doesn't know what to say. She's dumb. But it's better than Joe Biden. I know it didn't work in the election. Like somehow Democrats voted for Joe Biden like 6 years ago or 5 years ago. But Kamala is young. She's not a 10. I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just being honest. She's not a 10, but she's not like ugly. So, she's like a younger woman in regards to like, she's not 80,000 years old like Joe Biden. Her smile's okay. You know what I'm saying? I'm not like a huge fan of her or anything, but it's like, that's a huge upgrade for Democrats because they don't go off of like reality. Everything's a psyop. She's a brat. She's a mean girl. She's a this. She's fighting big bad Trump. All the cat women unite or what? Like, they do all these like little games, and that's what works on a lot of people. There's other reasons for that. Like people, I'm sure, have some righteous reasons not to like Trump as well. But in general, their whole game is like a psyop. So it's like there's no way to like psyop Biden, especially after Trump's alive, got shot, like he's crushing him in the debates. Like, it's not even possible. Like, and here's where I would say this too. I believe they have so much data. Like, if you have $1 billion, let me give you an example. Facebook, YouTube, all these companies, like, they know everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, the ads they're giving you are so oddly specific because they have all your shit and they're using it to make as much money as possible. So if you're a politician with a billion thing, whatever, you got like $1 billion in your campaign, they said, oh, Steve Bannon with Cambridge Analytica, blah, blah, blah. I'm sure he did that, and maybe he did some things unethical. I don't know. I didn't pay attention to it. But at the same time, that's a cover to be like, only Trump and Steve Bannon are using data to manipulate elections. Like, any smart businessman that has $1 billion is using the data that is available to them to make decisions. So if you have AI algorithms, you have billions of dollars worth of data, you have the tech companies on your side. I'm sure Google is just openly showing data to Democrats. They are Democrats, but in general, or at least seem more affiliated with them, donate to them more. You can like see the big picture more than people even understand. Like, not completely, but you could pretty much like see what's going to happen and be like, Biden can't possibly win. Like, it's not possible. Like, even we twisted 1,000 different ways. There's 50 different scenarios, and there's like no scenario where Biden really pulls this off. Get him the fuck out of there. You know what I'm saying? Put in Kamala Harris. She's not impressive. She's not great as a politician, but we can psyop her in. We can do the TikToks. We can get the influencers. We can use the girl angle. We can do this, and we could squeeze her in. And now it seems like she's rising in the ranks against Trump. I mean, I still hope Trump wins, but it's hard. Like, I don't know. It's this battle of like perception. It's basically like a psyop battle. It's elections are not even like real things where people are like, let's think about the economy. Smart people think about that shit, but like in general, it's like, who's gonna mess up last? Who's gonna make an error? Is Trump gonna get shot again and miss before the election? Because then he'll win. But then if the Democrats do this and there's a riot, then they might win. Or like there's a huge George Floyd thing. So it's like there's a battle for like a psyop. It's like a psyop. It's like the psyop Olympics. It's the 2024 psyop Olympics, and it's like, who's gonna win? It's not like, and that's one thing that I think Democrats do understand and Republicans don't. And don't get this twisted. I'm not telling Republicans to be fake. I'm not telling you to cave on your values. I'm not telling you to do any of that. I don't care what people do. But in general, Democrats understand that most people don't know what the F is going on. Republicans, they sit in their echo chamber. They kind of like circle jerk each other for the most part. And then they just assume that everyone's like a high information voter. And then when they're not, people are like, you're low IQ. You're stupid. You don't know what's going on. And it's like, yeah, no, I mean, if you're like a comedian, you could just be like, yeah, you're stupid, ha ha ha, and then you get paid $50,000 for doing a stand-up show. But if you're in politics and you're trying to influence policy, you can't just call the other side stupid all the time and expect to win an election, because a stupid person's vote counts just as much as your vote. And who knows how smart people even are. Everybody thinks they're smart, but not everyone's is as smart as they think they are. Some people are filled with false confidence. But anyway, it's like, my vote counts as much as someone else's vote. It doesn't matter who you are or how much money you have or how smart you think you are or what clothes you wear. It's like, a vote is a vote. And it's in some ways a beautiful thing about this country. And in other ways, it's frightening to some people just based on what's going on. So the Democrats, they're going for people that aren't paying attention. You know what I'm saying? People that are paying attention, they've already decided, I love Kamala Harris. Those people have decided on Kamala. I love Trump. I'd walk over broken glass to vote for Trump. Those people have decided. Me, I've decided. I'm voting for Trump. I'm voting all Republican. There's not a situation I would ever vote for Joe Biden. Either I would stay home and not vote at all, vote all locally, vote for Trump and all locally, all Republican, or like there's a 0% chance, that I'm voting for Joe Biden. Most people watching the show, there's a 0 to 5% chance, probably 0, that you're voting for Joe Biden. So who are they going? They're not going for us. They're not going for the Democrats that already know. They're going for the youth. They're going, and I don't know what the strategy is for Republicans because I don't pay attention completely to like what they're doing. But at least in my feed, the type of stuff that I see, I'm like, it's just making me a little, I won't say nervous, but like I thought Trump was going to win for sure. But now, like, the vibe is just different, and I don't really know what's going on. Like, I just feel weird about it, where I'm like, the Democrats are up to sneaky stuff. Like, the Republicans are falling flat. I talk to my neighbors sometimes to just get like another opinion. I talk to a lot of people like just around, but someone had said to me recently that is going to vote Republican. They like Trump, obviously. Like, they were like, I didn't like Trump's speech at the RNC, and I didn't see Trump's speech, but they were like, he never gets out of his own way. And that's the thing. It's like it's this game of like who's going to screw up last. And I didn't really watch the speeches, but when JD Vance, if he does debate the like vice president, that's going to be huge. JD Vance, I think he was the right choice, but here's a thing that I'm noticing about him. And I think out of all the choices, he was probably the best one. I didn't like Doug Burgum because he took Bill Gates' money. I don't like Marco Rubio, but they're more seasoned politicians. Like JD Vance is a gamble because he's new. He's younger, not super young, but he's young enough. But he isn't like super professional. Like, and neither am I. I'm wearing like a bald eagle t-shirt. I look like, half of America right now. But in general, you look at Trump, like say what you want about Trump. He's like a straight professional. Have you ever even seen him like not in a suit? There's one meme of him in like like a robe or something, like just looking like a baller. But the dude just wears suits like all the time. Like Trump is immaculately dressed, and he's been immaculately dressed for the last 60 years. JD Vance, he wears t-shirts a lot. Like he just looks like a bro. That could be good. Maybe people like that, like John Fetterman or something. He wears a t-shirt every day until Netanyahu comes to Congress. Then all of a sudden he's in a suit. But in general, that's the only time he's ever worn a suit that I've seen. Maybe he's done it at every time. But with JD Vance, like I said this the other day as well, I think he was the right choice out of all of the choices that Trump had. But there's a reason that he's not been a huge star. Like, who Candace Owens is. She's a star. You might not like Ben Shapiro, but you know who Ben Shapiro is. You know who Dan Bongino is. You know who who Vivek is. He did well for himself, even though I don't really trust him, but he earned whatever he got. You know who Thomas Massey is because he's ethical and he's just a charming, nice guy. There's a lot of people some people knew who JD Vance was. I did, but he wasn't a top 30 star. Why? Because he's not that impressive of a person. He's not bad. He's not a bad person. Like Mike Pence is a vice president where he doesn't even say anything. Like he just stands there. He looks like a bald eagle. Mike Pence literally just looks like a bald eagle. He's just like, I'm a Christian. Maybe that's good. Some for like perception or something. Like he just stands there and says nothing. JD Vance is a little more sloppy, wears a lot of t-shirts, looks a little whatever. His like, he's not bad in interviews. Like he's definitely like good, above average, but he's not like Candace Owens level. He's like, all right, you're like, I'm glad we got this guy on our side, but you're not like blown away by like a speech from JD Vance. So it's a gamble. I mean, I'm not saying it's the wrong one, but we'll see how he really does, because now that he's in the spotlight, they're throwing everything at this guy. And it seems like liberals don't like him, but liberals don't like anyone. So I'm not blaming him. It's just he's got a lot of weight on his shoulders, and I'm interested to see what JD Vance will do, because it's like, he's never had like any power or big like fame or position, and he just got given the keys to the castle. A lot of this election, in my opinion, too, is based on how well he does with this position. It'll be interesting. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'm going to wrap it up. Then I'm going to read a few comments just to wrap it up. The first story, I didn't even watch the Olympic stuff. I'm just tired of like all that, I just tuned it out completely. But we fight this is the most important part. I said it probably 10 times, but I'm going to say it one more time because it's the summary. We fight almost every country that rejects that stuff. And the left is in on it and the right is in on it. And even Trump is in on it. You could count 5 different countries that Trump wants to fight that doesn't do what France does with the opening ceremony. We're the conservative party in the UK, in all of Europe, essentially, except for the countries we're fighting in America. They're fake opposition. They tell you what you want to hear. They kind of sort of do it domestically while they lose on almost every front and you lose ground. And then they destroy you overseas because they inflict that stuff all over the world. Like it's like our main export now is like that, like we're a huge reason that that's becoming so prevalent, because we take out or go after every country that's not. Until Republicans and conservatives realize that and get to the root of why so many people are blaspheming Jesus Christ, to some people, it's in their religion. You know what I'm saying? They're told to do it. But American Christians are aligned with the religion that says that Jesus is boiling in hot poop. How are you going to win when you're a joint at the hip? You're attached at the hip to a country and a religion that says that your Lord and Savior and one of their religious texts is boiling in shit for eternity. You're going to lose. You should lose. You're not a victim. It's not like, oh, you made, like, you're dumb. I'm not trying to be a dick, but you're too stupid to win. And you're not a victim, and you shouldn't blame anyone else. Don't blame another religion. Don't blame another country. Don't blame another regime. Blame yourself. You deserve to lose if you can't figure out what's going on at this point. Like, you're attached at the hip that people that want to blaspheme your God. You're not going to have a country. Name a country in Europe that's still Christian. Oh, the country that America's fighting with Israel and our allies. Oh, what a coincidence. But Republican boomers can't figure that out, and neither can a lot of younger Republicans, because Turning Point and all these organizations are like half-assed organizations. They'll tell you the truth, but they're controlled by the donor class, so they'll never tell you that. So what's the point? It's just Mitt Romney with makeup on, in my opinion, with a little more swag. Not really. There's very little swag there, actually. But anyway, and then with the Trump ear thing, I think something happened to Trump, but I don't know. When you look at like a picture like, it does, like the top left, it does look like it's like healing. So I don't know that this is like anything, but I support D. Alex Zek and Owen Benjamin and the nurse that I follow on Twitter. I support their right to question stuff, and like everybody being so salty about it. I get it. Emotions are high. Like your favorite leader almost got killed, which is, I'm so glad Trump lived, because like that would have been a terrible vibe shift if they took Trump out. That's terrible for the country. I want Trump to win. He deserves to win at this point, but allow people to question stuff, because at the end of the day, like, I noticed this about the whole Secret Service thing, and I want to preface it with this. I know Trump has to play a different game. He's not a podcaster. He's not just shooting the shit. He's got a lot on the line, so he can't just say everything that we're saying. I understand that. But another thing is, like, during COVID, Elon Musk was speaking the truth. Trump was nowhere to be found. DeSantis started speaking the truth. Trump was nowhere to be found. He really screwed us over. So it's like his whole support base feels a certain way, but Trump mysteriously doesn't. I feel the same way about this shooting a little bit. I know Trump has to play a different game, especially with the stakes and the Secret Service, but it's like his whole base is questioning all these things. I haven't really seen him say that much. He's just like, if I die, let's go fight Iran for the deep state. Like, so it's hard for me to not think Trump's a character, where it's like, I do think that they want to take him out, and certain people want to take him out. I do want to vote for Trump. I do want him to win. I do think he's the better leader. There's something there with Trump. There's a soul, there's a spirit. He's the real adult in the room. Like, he should be president, not Kamala, for sure. But shit's just not adding up. So it's like, the more I see it, it does start to seem like theater. So you got to like not get too salty when people question things, because, it's like, I don't know, things are weird. So the questions deserve to be asked to some extent. See a few comments. I might try to keep this under an hour. I might not. We'll see how we feel. I feel good today. So someone said, is this An0maly? No, this is a deep fake. Const71, congratulations, my friend. You are the only smart person here. Everybody fell for the deep fake An0maly, but only you really saw through it. You will win a prize. Check your email and click on the next spam email. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. Anyway. Michael said, An0maly, how do you manage living in California around all the woke mentality, still thinking the way you do? I don't live around woke mentality. Like, this is what people don't realize. I'm going to go on a little rant now. Someone said, I'm concerned about you, An0maly. I might. I don't live in a woke area. I don't live around woke people. I don't subscribe to that reality. I got to say it, and I'm not, I got to tone it down. Let me take a sip of coffee, because then I'm not going to tone it down. But I've been to other states. Other states are not non-woke. Austin, Texas is more woke than where I'm at. Austin, Texas sucks. No offense. I mean, I'm not going to say the whole thing sucks, but like, it's weird. It's like, there's like just random crackheads all over the street. It's dirty. It's just like a weird place to me. Like, just because Texas is based doesn't mean all of Texas is good. It's where you live. Like, even if you live in like Maine, it doesn't necessarily mean it's woke. It's like, oh, they vote, Democrats sometimes. It's just like, I don't live in a woke area. I don't live around woke people. I mean, obviously some people are Democrats and it's fine, but I live in a majority Republican area. Most people are Republican. We vote Republican. We have Republican prosecutors who will put people in jail for life that LA County let off the hook. So, like people are so prideful of state. And I listen, make fun of California all you want. The taxes suck. Like Gavin Newsom sucks. I'm not knocking. I'm just saying, like, people are like, I'm in Texas. It's so non woke. Texas is woke as shit. Florida, every time I go to Florida, it's gayer than where I live. Like, and I'm not saying like it's like open in your face gay, but it kind of is. It's just like there's like rainbows all over the place in Fort Lauderdale. It's like one of the gayest places in the country, actually. So I'm not saying like it is what it is, like, but it's like Florida is super gay and liberal in a lot of places. Like Texas is super gay and liberal. It's more about locally where you live. Like if you live in a crime-filled area of Texas, you're going to get robbed probably. You live in a nice area or on a farm somewhere, you're not. You live in Austin, it's just like Los Angeles. So Miami's very gay. I think Florida is one of the gayest states, to be honest. Like Fort Lauderdale, it's just like every like street. Fort Lauderdale's so gay, the streets just start talking to you. They're like, "Hey," and you're like, "Yo, it's nighttime." You're like, "Who said that?" "Hey there," and you're like, and you look down, and it's just the rainbow sidewalk. Just like I was like, "Am I high or is this sidewalk talking to me?" That's how gay Florida is. But anyway, I don't know. Yeah, so I feel like every time I talk to people, they're like, "Dude, I live here and it's so great." It's like, yeah, it also has a city with the murder capital of the country. So it's like not saying you live in that city, but like, like Louisiana has problems, Alabama has crime-filled cities, Texas has some of the gayest places in the country. Like it doesn't mean it doesn't mean the rest of it's bad or your culture is bad, but like people have this weird thing in their head. It's like this Fox News brain, and I'm not trying to be rude, but like people watch Fox News and they're like, Texas is crushing and California sucks. And it's like, in many ways, sure, like economically, maybe, well, California's economy is good, but you get what I'm saying. Like the trends and the culture, like, yeah, California is doing a lot of the wrong things and Texas is doing a lot of the right things, but that's not saving your major cities. Like your major cities are also going to shit like all over the country. And I could tell you why, but it's not going to be popular because it has nothing to do with politics. It has everything to do with who is in your state and what type of people they are. When you live in a high trust society or a high trust area, life is good. When you don't live in a high trust country anymore, which this is not, you got it, it sucks because spiritually, you don't want to be paranoid. You don't want to not trust people. Like instinctually, I'm a nice guy, but I know the way the world is. So I can't be who I wanted to be 7 years ago because that's not the world we live in. Being too nice gets you got. So, I tell people all the time, like even out here in my county and obviously in LA, but people are coming to LA to rob people in Orange County. They're looking for rich people. Like that's who's being targeted. People who wear Rolexes, $50,000 on your watch, you're getting followed to your car and they're robbing you at gunpoint. I've talked to in the last year, multiple people that either got robbed themselves or know people that got robbed. There's a commonality. Rolexes, $200,000 cars. But most of the time, if your bag is over 20 grand and your watch is over 50 grand, there's savages now going to your area because they know you're not paying attention, because they know you're delusional, and they're stalking you like predators. And they're like, we're going to wait till that guy goes to his car, and then we're going to put a gun to his fucking head, and then we're going to steal his $50,000 watch because it's $50,000 and we're broke, and that's more money than we have in our bank account, and we want it by taking it off his wrist. I'm not saying it's okay that they do that. I'm not justifying it, but that's the world we live in. We don't live in 1990 anymore. We don't live in 2000. This is not a high trust country anymore. The nice areas aren't nice anymore. The shitty areas are shittier. This country sucks now. You know what I'm saying? It's not Leave It to Beaver anymore. It's like 10 years away from putting bars on your window. You go to South Central, there's bars all over all the windows. You drive 30 minutes south or north, and then all of a sudden the bars go away. Why are there bars on all the windows? They don't want sunlight. They want sunlight. They just have to give up sunlight, and they have to give up a normal window in order to protect themselves and their family from the savages in their neighborhood that are breaking in open windows and stealing shit. That's the world we live in. And, I don't even think the Republican Party's that serious about it. They're definitely more serious, and I vote for them for that reason. But it's like this country's going to go to shit. It's just going to keep getting worse and worse and worse because it's about who you have in your country. It's about the type of people. Yes, obviously the economy's not helping. The fact that the bankers and the politicians are making your dollar go less and less and less, and they're sending it to Israel and Ukraine. It's not helping. They're definitely deserve some responsibility for this. It's not just average people, but that's not the whole reason why people are getting robbed all the time. It's like this whole country is just like ridiculous. And then it's like, oh, let's go to Iran and China and Russia and make them more like San Francisco and France. And then we'll have the conservatives complain about the opening ceremony that we basically forced on them with our foreign policy. It's like, oh yeah, someone said that's ignorant. I don't know what you're talking about. Did you spell awesome wrong? Awesome is O-A-W. Oh shit. Awesome is A-W-E-S-O-M-E. It's not spelled with an I. Thank you, David. Someone said I can't even drive nice. You can't drive nice cars or be followed on iPad location tagged. I'm not sure what you're saying, but I get it. An0maly, what's the average rent in my area, if you don't mind me asking? I'm not like a real estate agent, so I can't tell you, but it's going to be more expensive than a shittier area for sure. But I don't know. I would say pricier than a lot of places for sure. And it keeps going up every year. It keeps going up everywhere. In bad areas, it goes up. In good areas, like prices are going up everywhere. So I don't know. Every year it goes up couple hundred. Let's see. Someone said, even if RFK or Dr. Shiva have no chance, the more votes they get, send a message. I don't agree. What message does it send? I don't, I like RFK Jr. I like Dr. Shiva. It's them getting percentages of the vote doesn't matter. I have an unpopular opinion about RFK Jr., so I'm going to share it. I like RFK Jr. He's great on pharmaceuticals. I hope he gets a role in any administration and he like helps make America better. He's running a bullshit campaign. Like he didn't get into this race to be like, I'm going to run independent and just do nothing. Like, that's not why he said he was getting into the race. When I was like, oh, this is interesting, he said, I'm going as a Democrat. I'm going to run as a Democrat against Joe Biden and put pressure on Joe Biden directly to try to get the Democratic nominee. That makes sense. Even if he doesn't win, he's putting pressure on Joe Biden. He's infiltrating the system. He's getting, himself in places to show Democrats that there's another option. He's spreading his message. As soon as RFK Jr. dropped out and was like, I'm running independent against Trump and Biden, it's like, you're not doing shit, bro. And then also he caves and cucks on the main topic that every politician caves on. So it's like he's either compromised or a total fraud also, even, so it's like now RFK is not going to win. His legacy is shattered for people that know what's going on and know that he's caving on the main issue that everyone caves on, and he's not going to win. And he's filling all these people with fake hope. Like, imagine if I said I was going to run for president and you're like, I love An0maly, so I want him to win. I'm not going to win. I'm not going to run a half-ass campaign and get 10% of the vote. I'm running to win or I'm staying out. Like, and I'll be transparent with you guys. Like, he can't win. He knows he can't win. His campaign knows he can't win, but he sits there every day on Facebook and says, I'm going to win the election. No, you're not, RFK. You're just going to take votes away from Trump and help Kamala get in. And maybe that's his job anyway. I don't know what he's trying to accomplish, but he didn't say he was going to run independent because he's not like everybody has the analytics, the data, the money. Like, everybody knows, like, I could win or I can't win. He knows he's not going to win. You know what I'm saying? And so does Dr. Shiva. But it's like, you could run, but that's fine. I like Dr. Shiva. I like that he's putting pressure on politicians. He's saying a lot of the right stuff, but come December, they're going to be just where I am, just another US citizen. So I can't tell what people's true intentions are. Maybe they want to get their message out there. Maybe they want to challenge the status quo. But RFK Jr. has zero chance, and he's just messing around, and people are like, he really has a chance, An0maly. You don't know what you're talking about. You know how many times I've lived this thing? I've seen it happen 10 times. And you know what happens after November 10th or whenever, November 8th? You're going to just be like, oh yeah, An0maly was right. He didn't win. He didn't even come close. RFK's not even going to be in the same universe as Trump and Biden. It's going to, or Kamala. It's going to be like 40, or 30 something. And RFK is going to have just leftover votes that probably would have went to Trump. So and you can do that. You can take votes away from somebody. You can spread your message. You could say, screw the system. I don't like either of them. But RFK saying screw the system while he caves to the system on the most important and most central issue in the country. So how much of an outsider is he really? I like RFK. I'm grateful for the work he does on chronic diseases. He's doing a huge service spreading that message, but his presidential campaign is fake. It's fake. He's not really doing anything, and he knows it, and he never got into it to say he was going to run independent against a Democrat and a Republican. He said he was going to run as a Democrat against Joe Biden and try to win the nominee, which makes sense, even if it's like a hard chance to do. He's just doing nothing. So, but he's convincing people that he really has a chance. He doesn't. It's going to be Kamala or Trump. Those are your two options. You could not vote. You could be an anarchist. You can vote for Mickey Mouse. You could vote for RFK. You could vote for Trump. You could vote for Biden. You could sit it out. I don't care what you do. I'm not here to preach that you have to go vote. I don't give a shit. But it's Trump or Kamala. It's not RFK. He's running a fake campaign. And if, in my opinion, if he really wanted to fix stuff and he said, Trump, I'll give my voters to you, or I'll try to, give me the head of the FDA, give me the HHS, and Trump agrees, that he could do something. I don't think RFK even really wants to do anything, because I would say the same thing if it were me. If I were in RFK's position, I'd say, Trump, let me be the head of HHS or FDA or one of these agencies, and I'll drop out and endorse you. And then we can win. And then I could actually get the position I'm talking about. That's what he knows the most about. That's what he's the best at. That's what he could change the country. He could fix the food supply in the country. He could fix the standards. He could be a hero. RFK could save millions of lives and make Americans healthier for the next 50 years by fixing the food supply. But he's going to sit there and act like he's going to win president, not do shit, not take a position in Trump's cabinet and use leverage and do nothing and just go back to freaking whatever he's doing. So it's a little annoying, but whatever. Someone said Zionist versus Zionist. Yeah, that's definitely true. it's every election ever, when it comes to the presidency, for sure. Someone says, so was the Last Supper said at the river? I don't know. I'm just, let's see. RFK would be great at FDA, HHS. He would be awesome. And it's so important. Like, it's so important to fix the food supply in America, but you can't do it when you don't win. Like, it would be like if I ran and I said, F Trump, I'm going to be president, I'm going to fix the food supply, and then I get less than 1% of the vote. It's like, I'm not doing shit. I'm doing the same thing I'm doing now, sitting in a chair talking. Like, it's just the truth. Like, RFK has a chance to really do a lot of the stuff he talks about, but it's not by running against Trump. It's by joining him. Like, that's the only way that he's going to do anything past November. There's a less than 0.00001% chance that RFK wins. Less than that. Someone said Trump wants Indian America. I've seen a lot of that stuff on Twitter too. Like, people are talking about like immigration and stuff. And this is, I don't know how to say this without getting in trouble. So I'm just going to get in trouble and go right at it. Hold on. Let me take a sip of coffee first real quick. Hold on. If you go to Dearborn, Michigan, hold on. One more sip. Let's if you go to Dearborn, Michigan now, you'll find some amazing people, right? Great people there. Islamic, right? So if you go to Dearborn, Michigan now, it doesn't look like Dearborn, Michigan, when Henry Ford was doing stuff out of there or whatever, or close to there, like 100 years ago. Why? Because the people changed. Good and bad things will happen when the people change. If you like Middle Eastern food, Dearborn probably has amazing food. In fact, I heard it does. If you want, people to protest Zionism, Dearborn will do that because Muslims care more about that than Christians. If you want, more conservative values and them to turn down the school stuff, Dearborn, Michigan will do that too, because Muslims are actually stronger than most Christians and they actually do something about it versus just complain about it, eat Cheetos, and vote for the guy who's the same color as Cheetos. But anyway, in general, it's like, but it's going to be more Muslim. There's going to be signs that are in Arabic. Like, people complain about Dearborn all the time because they're like, it looks like it's Afghanistan. It's like, it looks that way because the people are that. That's just the truth. What I said about Indian food. If you love chicken tikka masala and chicken korma, bring in the Indian immigrants because they're going to bring in Indian food and Indian culture. And a lot of it's good. They got some fire songs too. Some like Punjabi MC. It goes like, meet me at the Pune City Baganagana. And then they do that. If you like that music, it's like, they got that crazy melody. Indian singers are fire. shout out to Bollywood. An0maly in India. We're friends. Bring me out there, put me in a movie. Let's get that India money. You know what I'm saying? An0maly, give me that chicken korma. We're straight. But with that being said, the more Indian people you have, the more Indian America gets. And if you go to India, you can decide, do I want to live in India or do I want to live in America? It doesn't mean you can't have immigrants. It's just like India can have American immigrants, but if India replaced half of its population with white people, then it's going to look more like a white country. It's just the truth. Like, every country's like that. So like, Paris is the infrastructure is good and there's food and stuff, but they're like crimes rising. There's graffiti everywhere. I wonder why. I wonder why. So that's just the truth about America, and that's what Trump and the Republicans don't seem to give a shit about. But the outcasts of Republican politics, the ones that are called far right and whatever, like they do understand that. They're like, and people are like, we don't care who it is unless they vote for Trump. But it's like, the more they bring in certain people, the more America's going to look like something else, and there needs to be like something that holds it together, or else it's going to fall apart. So, I love the fact that people can come from all over the world and be American. And I think like America's culture is so strong that we're able to survive. And like, there's, I'm just going to be honest, like Indian Americans, like someone said, okay, stop. Now you're repeating yourself. Arlette, go away. This is my show. Like, imagine being such a douchebag that you go into someone else's show and say, okay, stop now. It's like, you stop, click the X button, go play, Candy Crush or something with your husband. But anyway, it's just the reality of it. And I want to say, cause I grew up somewhere that was like heavily Indian and Asian. Indians in America crush. Like India does send their best people to America. Like most Indians in America, they do extraordinarily well. They raise a good family. They don't commit crimes. Like Indians in America are not like the enemy. Like they do well, and they're good like neighbors for the most part. I can't speak for everybody, but like Indians, Asians, they like, I grew up where I went to school. It was like a quarter Indian and a quarter Asian. And it's like, it's not a lot of crime. The kids are nice for the most part. Like I had a lot of friends that were Indian and Asian, but it's like, I'm not saying that they're bad. Like, they've contributed a lot of great things to America. And overall, they, most Indians don't bring India to America. Like they bring the good parts of it in the food, but they don't bring like the bad parts of it. In my opinion, the, Indians that are very ambitious, they come to America and they just crush and they leave behind all the degens. But, with that being said, it's like, it's still the same concept, like I think I would get along with a lot of people in Dearborn, Michigan, but like, if you want to, I'd also probably have a fun time in Turkey, but Michigan was this and now it's that. So this is just the truth about everything is like, you bring in certain people, you adapt, your country changes. So I think Democrats, they understand voting patterns, and they're like, the more people we get that are not Christian and white or whatever, the more votes we have. And Republicans, they don't give a shit. They want cheap labor. They want to please their donors. They think because their friend likes them that they're going to win an election when America's more multiculturalism or multicultural. And they're probably not, just statistically. Like no matter how much you think black people like Trump, he's going to lose the black vote. No matter how much you think women like Trump, they're going to vote for Kamala overwhelmingly. It's like, that's just the truth. So, the Democrats are bringing people in. Republicans are like, we don't care who it is. We just want smart people. Okay. But the everything's going to change. Like if Japan was less than 50% Japanese, it's a totally different country. It's a totally different crime rate. It's a totally different culture. It's probably going to be dirtier because Japanese people are some of the cleanest people on earth. Japanese people make Americans look like fat slops. You know what I'm saying? Like you go to like a street in Japan, it's spotless. Like America's disgusting compared to Japan. But it's like, that's just the truth. I like Americans, but when I go to Japan, I like it. I don't want to be like, hey, let's import 50% Africa, 50% Indians, and 50% Americans, and and then Japanese people can be the minority. I know I just did 150%. It's like, it's not because I hate myself or hate other countries. That's just the reality of like demographics and math and science and reality. So everyone in human history understood this forever until like 20, 30 years ago. And now everybody acts like the world has always been this way. It hasn't always been this way. And like the funniest part is the country that puppets America And the country that says that America should take all these immigrants is the same country that you can only get a passport and citizenship if you have a certain ethnicity. It's literally an ethno state where they give away free citizenships to someone of their ethnicity. And then they're telling America that we should be multicultural when they don't even want to be. It's like, it's so obvious what's going on, but American liberals don't seem to notice or care. And American conservatives are like useful idiot fake opposition, and they can't lower their ego to the point to see through it. And this is what's so annoying. It's like liberals, I don't know what they're doing. Are they self-hating? Do they think they're doing the right thing? I don't know. But conservatives claim that they're going to save the country. Conservatives claim that they have the truth. Conservatives claim that they know they could see through the lies. And what's so annoying is there's so many conservatives, but like 50 to 70% of them can't see what I'm saying right here. So they're going to lose over time, in this country at least. So yeah, when it comes to like importing people or having a bunch of people, like this country is going to keep changing very fast, and people are not ready for it. Like people don't understand. Like Elon Musk understands it, and he talks about it like in a different way, but he understands like the science behind it, because it's like, what's the country going to look like in 30 years? We'll just go to the schools, and that's what it's going to look like. Because as the older generation dies out, the younger like the demographic shift in America is going to happen so fast, to the point where you're going to walk around and you're going to be like, when did this happen? You know what I'm saying? Like what's going on? But it's like, it's already happening. So it's like, you understand what I'm saying? It's just like, this country is going to be very, very different very quickly, and people and conservatives are not going to know what hit them, and they're going to be like, how did this happen? It's the left and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it is what it is, like this is just what's going on. Like, I don't know. My family, my family fled for multiple different countries. Like, I'm not someone who was like, I didn't sail over on the Nina and the Pinta and the Santa Maria. America wasn't mine in 1700s. Like like I got my family got here. My grandparents got here like 100 years ago. My grandfather came from Italy. My other grandfather came from Poland. My one grandma came from like Czechoslovakia, and then my one grandma came from Puerto Rico. That's where my family came from. Like, at one point, we had to go run away from 4 different countries. I don't know what happened or why they want, like maybe it's the economy or the American dream. But my grandpa came from Poland. My grandpa came from Italy. My grandma came from Czechoslovakia. My other grandma came from Puerto Rico, and they all ended up on the East Coast. People now, they think like they deserve everything. Like, even a lot of people are like, this is like, if you want, like, you might have to flee eventually. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to flee, but it's not like the first time it happened. Like, so many people fled from England to America. So many people came from Spain to America. Like, that's just history. I'm not saying it's good and you should want to, but like that. And I'm not saying you're going to have to, but like, things are going to change. Things are going to get different. Things are going to get weird. The whole thing's going to shift like very fast in the next 10 to 20 years. And most people are not even thinking about it because they want to believe that it's not happening. So, I'm interested to see like how it plays out. And America is an experiment. So there's really nothing to compare it to. I mean, you could compare it to like the falling Roman Empire, but really there's never been a country like America where the culture is strong, but it's really not that strong anymore because the media and the politicians have basically like erased it, or they're trying to erase it. But, pro-America people is really all we have. Like, of every ethnic group, like pro-America being super based and super honest, that's really all we have. Because this idea of like, oh, we're going to do this and that, like, we're not the way, we can't do it that way anymore. That's not going to happen anymore because of how things are. So I don't know how it's going to play out, but my prediction personally is that crime is going to keep going up. And I don't know, until an American leader comes in with some balls and like does what El Salvador did or something, like really actually tries to get rid of this shit. I just think it's going to just get crazy and weird. And you're just, the dollar's going to go less and less, and you're just going to have to make more and more money to be safe. It's already, I've talked about this months ago, but back in the day, you could be middle class or lower middle class or even lower class and afford a house. Those days are done. All the great things about America being middle class, like, it's all gone. And I'm not crying about it. I'm not saying to be pessimistic about it. Like, it just is what it is, and you got to deal with it the same way my family had to flee Italy or whatever. Like, they dealt with it. They didn't just cry, I got to leave. They just freaking left. I don't know. They probably didn't want to, but maybe they did. Maybe America sounded appealing. I don't know. That's where the country's going. Like, the middle class is non-existent, like we always knew it would be. Like, I made songs about this one in 2009. That's the crazy part about all this stuff, is like, you can go back and listen to some of my music, like the song Apocalypse, or I got so many mixtapes and stuff. If you really look hard, An0maly, I'm talking about like the middle class is being wiped away. Nobody cared in 2010 when I made my song, because the middle class was still doing well. Now the middle class isn't doing well, and everyone's paying attention now. But it's like, once it's here, it's kind of like too late. We could flip it around. I'm not saying we can't flip it around, but things are going to change very drastically. And in a good country, you could be poor or middle class and be safe. And in a bad country, you're not safe anywhere, and America's becoming a bad country that way. So, you got to have a lot of money to be somewhat safe, but you're still not even safe, because, criminals target high income areas because they know people have money. They're targeting Rolexes. They're targeting like $20,000 Prada bags that your, sugar daddy bought you or whatever. Like, that's the shit that they're doing. So people are not ready to admit that that's happening. Like, I talk to so many people and I go, the thieves around here, they're robbing people with Rolexes. Like, they're robbing people with $50,000 bags. Really? Yes, really. It's been happening for years. I know multiple people that it's happened to. I'm not saying it's right, but like, yes, that's what they're doing. You leave a $50,000 watch in your car, your window might get broken into. I know somebody, she said her son in LA got his car broken into. He had an expensive watch in his truck and someone smashed it and then took it out. How did they know he had an expensive watch in his car? I don't know. I mean, maybe it was somebody that he knew. Maybe they followed him home after they saw him have it, at the club. But how would they know it's in his car? I don't know. But now it's even creepier. Not only are you getting robbed, you're basically getting stalked by savages who want your $50,000 watch. I'm not like, that's the country we live in. I don't wear expensive shit. I used to wear watches when I was broke, trying to look rich. Now it's like, I'm not going to spend $50,000 on a watch. Why? To put myself as a target to get fucking shot and robbed? Like, I don't live in a nice place. Maybe if I go to Dubai, I'll wear a nice watch or buy a nice watch, but not in America. America's turning into a ghetto country. So it's like, you could wear a nice watch in Dubai. You can't really in America anymore. You'll get robbed in broad daylight in Beverly Hills for wearing a $50,000 watch. Like, that's the country we live in. And talking about it makes people realize it. And then once people realize it, that's when you could fix the problem. But as far as everybody like walking around like it's not happening, like, people don't want to admit that's happening. Doesn't matter where, even in like, my buddy moved to like Missouri and he got his bike stolen. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, I'm going to move to the country and get your bike stolen. Like, people can't even not steal bikes out there now. It's like everywhere's turning into this. No matter what state you're in, the criminals are targeting everywhere. It's like America's ghetto as fuck, and like, no one wants to admit it. They're like, I live in Texas. It's so great. Two of my friends moved from California, from Los Angeles to Texas. They both had their catalytic converters stolen out of their cars in Fort Worth. Fort Worth is supposed to be the nice area of Dallas. It's like both of them never got robbed in LA, which now if they would have stayed, they probably would have got robbed. And then they get robbed in Texas because Texas is like the same, yeah, of course, California has some strange problems in LA and San Francisco. But Austin, Houston, Dallas, you're going to act like these are shining hills on a city with no crime? There's crime all over the place. You know what I'm saying? People are just running around like freaking savages, just seeing what they could take from people. It's like, it's a wicked country now. I'm just like, I'm not voting my way out of this. I vote Republican because it makes more sense, but that's not going to fix the problem. Republicans are like the half-assed fake solution, put a Band-Aid on it, and it is what it is. I don't know what to do. I don't know what you even can do, but I know one thing I do have is my voice and my platform. And, when I want to talk the truth, I will. Let's see. Someone said, should have asked conservative mama why she's such an imperialist when it's oligarchs running this. I wouldn't have framed a question that way. She's a nice lady. I mean, we had a cordial, friendly debate that, she was brave enough to have, and I was brave enough to have. And I think it came out great. I wouldn't change anything about it. Someone said the left hates you because you're white. Well, I'm more like red. I'm like a little tannish red. So I don't know. If I get sunburned, do they still hate me? I don't see the hate. I put on my hate blinders, you know what I'm saying? My future's so bright, I can't even see the hate. Anyway, someone said trickle down economics was a lie. Yeah, but so is like liberal economics. Like I'm not a huge like Reagan obsessed fan, but when it's like trickle down economics, it's like you're never going to make as much money as the CEO. You know what I'm saying? Like I make more money than I used to because I started my own business, right? I'm not going to like rise the ranks at a company. Like maybe you can make like 100K or something after 10 years. If you're like, there's not, like you got to just do your own thing. You're not going to, the money's not going to trickle down and you're going to be like doing so well. Like you're always going to be, you don't want it to trickle down. You want to like get your own piece of the pie if you want money. Um, so yeah, it's not like the most legit form of economics, but when the left goes trickle down economics is a lie, it's like, well, what are you doing? Because less like it's the left, it's like less trickles down. You know what I'm saying? Under the right, you get a little bit of a trickle. Under the left, the faucet turns off and there's no trickle. So it's like, social programs and like telling people to lock down their businesses for a COVID shot. Like that's basically like socialism slash like pharmaceutical fascism disguised as like multiculturalism. They're like, we love the gays with our vaccine. And it's like, they're just working for the same corporations that, anarchists and liberals say that they hate. So I'm not a huge fan of trickle down economics, but if you're sitting there waiting for something to trickle down for you, it doesn't matter if you're in America, Afghanistan, Russia, or England, like shit's not going to trickle down to you. It's like being an athlete and be like, maybe something can trickle down from a good athlete and I could get some. It's like, you got to be something yourself, like if I employ 5 employees, you're not going to make more than me unless you start your own business, which is fine. But it's like, you think you're going to trickle down, and you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, it's a trickle down. If I get paid, this much, you get 10 or 20%, if we can make a couple million, you can make 200-300K a year, but you're not going to make 800,000. It's not like I'm going to give you 70% of my income if you're my employee. Like, it doesn't make any sense. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't think trickle down is, I'm sure Reagan was probably lying about some stuff too, but like everyone that always says trickle down's a lie, they're always doing some dumber or worse thing that like, you can't just like create production out of nowhere. Like someone has to do something, but both parties suck. So I'm not going to defend the other one. Someone said Trump spent more than all other presidents before him. Conservative question mark. Yeah, but the Republicans don't even notice or care, which is why I see it from both sides. Like I get why liberals don't like conservatives because it's like they're like, we hate the spending, but our guys spend, but we don't care because we like them. And it's like the archetype of that conservative is so annoying. But then also the archetype of the liberal is like even more annoying. So it's like this battle of people that are annoying. That's why self-enlightenment is so important. Like no one's going to do this stuff for you. Like you have to become something and then get that. Like the left and the right fighting, it's the same annoying people, just like with a left and a right. And they're both like the same person. They're both stubborn. They're both egotistical. They're both delusional. They both can't, they have zero self-awareness. And those people, they float to each other like a magnet. And then they just fight with each other on Twitter all the time, which I don't use Twitter that much anymore, So it's like I avoid a lot of these conflicts by just not being a douchebag. You know what I'm saying? Like, I bet there's a lot of people that are socialists and even like people that are straight up like communists that could watch An0maly and be like, I don't agree with his economics, but he's not a complete piece of shit. And I could tell that he's like not like these other guys. And it's like, yeah. And then you could ask someone that's like right wing that's like, yeah, no, An0maly's like, it's just like, I don't know, being left or right doesn't make you a likable person. So I just feel like all the conflicts on the left or right, they'll just sit there and argue with each other for 3 hours. They'll be like, trickle down politics was a lie. Ronald Reagan's a piece of shit. And they're like, oh yeah, Jimmy Carter screwed up the economy. Well, Trump printed a lot of money too. Yeah, but I like Trump and he had to because of COVID. And it's like, you get 2 hours into an argument with these two people and neither one of them can realize that like the left and the right are not who they say they are. The right are not capitalists. The right are not against socialism. The right are not even that conservative. And the left are working with the corporations, like so heavily, like, and it's like less trickles down from the left. It's just like the way that people frame their arguments, it's meant to just keep you in this like nonstop nightmare loop of like, nothingness, so you argue and you just like feel right because your ego is like, I'm so much better than the left winger. And then the left winger goes to their little commie friends and they're like, where we beat the fascists. And it's like, no one's doing shit. That's how I see it. um Someone said most of the right support banning speech they hate. Let's get into this as well, because people are like, is the right wing doing cancel culture? And here's, I think, the unpopular truth that a lot of conservatives don't want to admit, and even liberals. I believe in free speech. You have the right to say it and express yourself and have different politics and religion. Like, that's the American way. I think it's pretty badass. With that being said, people don't like certain things. And when people don't like it, they have a right to not watch it. They have a right to boycott. They have a right to cry about it. And that's basically what cancel culture is. So it's like when the left is doing cancel culture, everybody hates it, but they hate it because they hate the left's opinions. They hate the left's culture. They hate the left's agenda. When the right wing does cancel culture, right wingers like it because they hate the left wing companies and the left wing tranny dancer, like whatever, like opening ceremony people or whatever they were doing. Like, they hate that. So then they want to shut it down. Like, is it cancel culture? Kind of. But at the same time, it's like, like, I don't know. Like, how do you really navigate around that? Do you just say, I have no opinion about anything? I want to support everything, even if I don't like it? Like, it's a tricky subject because things are framed in a way where like the right will be like, we are against cancel culture, but we're really not when we want to cancel it. And then the right will also say in the politics, they'll say we're against hate speech laws, but they pass anti-Semitism hate speech laws for their donors. And then they call you anti-Semitic when you notice that they're passing those. So it's like, yeah, both parties are kind of like full of shit, where I don't know. Like, I think some people deserve to be canceled and then some people don't. But, I guess like just not watching them, like if every conservative, every Christian, and every Muslim didn't watch the Olympics, it would all go away. Like I've spent so far 0 seconds watching any Olympic stuff. Maybe that will change because I do like sports, but if that's maybe that's the real cancel culture, is like, I don't want to watch it. But then when the left does that, if the right wing does something based and the left doesn't watch it, is that cancel culture because they don't want to support it? I don't like, this is where like people pigeonhole themselves by pretending they're something they're not. And then like people are like, oh, you actually support that. And it's like, yeah, I guess. Like, that's why even with labels, like, what am I? You can call me what you want. Like, I'm not a libertarian because I think they're wrong about some shit. I'm definitely more conservative in my values, but I'm not, I'm a registered Republican, but I don't agree with the Republican Party. Like, I'm just calling it how I see it. Like, there's certain things where like people will say it because everyone says it. And I don't really agree. Like, I know I have certain biases based on what I think and what I feel. And I'm willing to admit that when it comes up. But like some people, they're just trying to like pretend like, I don't do this. It's like, you do that. The Trump ear thing is the perfect thing. Everybody who loves Trump is crying that anyone's questioning if he really got shot. Meanwhile, they would all question if it was Biden or Mitt Romney or anyone. So how mad can you really be? Like, the only reason that you're not questioning it is because you like Donald Trump. If that was Mitt Romney up there, you're telling me Trump supporters wouldn't question that shit? Of course they would. So just admit it. I'm not mad at it. I'm voting for Trump. I think he really got shot in the ear. I think someone tried to kill him. But I'm not mad when people question it because I kind of question it myself. I'm not 100% sure. I'm still like intaking the information. So it's like the people that are just like, I can't believe anyone questions that. You're the same guy who would question the same thing if it were somewhere else. The only thing stopping you from questioning it is your personal emotional bias towards Donald Trump, which is totally fine. There's nothing wrong with liking Donald Trump. There's nothing wrong with thinking he really got shot. And there's nothing wrong with voting for him. But you can't act super pissed off when someone else questions it. How mad are you really? Like, why are you so mad? Like, just deal with it and then say what you believe, like, and challenge them. Like, everybody's just such a hypocrite, I feel like, in this country. And that's why everything's falling apart. I'm not a perfect person, but that's even outside of these shows. Like, this is my opinion. This is what I think. I try to do it as gracefully as possible or with some humor to make it funny. But at the end of the day, my biggest challenge is with myself. You know what I'm saying? It's not fighting someone else. It's not fighting the left. Like I have things I want to accomplish in my life. You know what I'm saying? I want to do certain things. I want to eventually have a family. I got to figure out like where I want to build my life because I moved to Los Angeles when I was 23 years old with packed all my stuff in 2 suitcases, flew across the country and pursued my music career. Like I was an adventurous 20-year-old who pursued my dream and made my dream life to some extent. But now once you get older, it's like, your dreams change where it's like, yeah, of course I want a family. Of course I want to do certain stuff. Maybe I don't want to stay here. The taxes are high. So it's like, at the end of the day, of course I say what I believe, but I'm not spending all of my life judging and hating on other people. It's like, I know my ultimate goal isn't what everyone else does. It's what I do, like that's what I can control. And that's why I've done so much. That's why I've accomplished so much is because I think that way. If everyone thought that way, people wouldn't be fighting so much. They'd be focusing on themselves. But because people don't focus on themselves and they don't have this self-awareness, that's why everybody's such a hypocrite. That's why you'll have the same left winger cry about what he just did 3 months ago. That's why you'll have 5 million Republicans crying that the left is questioning things that they would question if it were a left-wing guy. Like everybody's a hypocrite because it's a lack of self-awareness and too much ego. It's like that's the root of all of these things. It's like I get it, but you just got to be honest about it, It's like if I like an omelet, I like an omelet. You might not like it, you might not like that I like it, whatever, but that's what I like. It's just what it is. Like, these are my feelings. This is my religion. It is what it is. I'm not saying you have to agree, but I'm not like delusional about it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, how dare you question if he got hit or not? Why is that? How dare you? Like, why? You could just be like, you're wrong. It's like if somebody says I'm voting for RFK Jr. I don't agree for all the reasons I said in the sense of like, you can vote for him, but he's not going to win. But at the same time, you could still vote. You could vote for Mickey Mouse. You could not show up. I don't care. But I'll give you my opinion about why I don't think he's going to win because I'm right about that. He's not. Watch the results after November. He's not even going to come close. With that being said, it's still your choice. You could vote for him. I know why I think that. Maybe you want to do it for this reason or that reason. That's fine. You don't like Trump. You're so disgusted by what he did that you want to just do a protest vote, whatever. Like I understand the situation. You know what I'm saying? The problem is you don't have to agree with people, but if you don't understand things, you're just ignorant. And that's the problem nowadays. Everybody's just ignorant. They don't understand anything outside of their bubble. It's like, here's what I think. And I know most people disagree with me. I live a very, I don't know if I'd say private life, but like, I know that most people are not going to agree with me. I know that I'm not going to be really close friends with most people. I have high standards, high standards for a lot of things. So it's like, but I'm self-aware. It's like, everyone's not going to fit into my bubble and I'm okay with that. I don't have to let them in, but it's like, it's not like I think they agree with me. It's like everyone walks around where it's like, they just think everybody thinks like them. And then when they don't, they like freak out. It's just a wild world, but it is what it is. I'm enjoying myself to some extent. Yeah, it's the lack of self-awareness. It's the most important thing. It's so important. Did I vote for Ron Paul because you thought he had a chance of winning? I don't even know if I was old enough to vote for Ron Paul. Maybe I was, but I liked Ron Paul, but I don't think I voted in that election. When was that? Like 2012? I was probably like 20 something. I did not vote, I don't think, in that election, but I did just casually. My analysis of it in my 20s was Ron Paul's the best candidate, and they're blacking him out in media because they don't want people to see him because he's clearly the coolest guy. And I was right. Like I always saw through the media. Like I didn't even know Ron Paul was Republican. Like I just instinctually knew he was the best person. You know what I'm saying? Like I before I understood politics, I went off of instincts. Like I was like, Ron Paul's the best, and they're not showing him because he's so cool. Obama, he's definitely cooler than Mitt Romney, but he's nothing. He's just a politician. Like, that's what I thought of Obama. I don't think I really cared. Like, I wasn't like, oh, Obama's going to save the world. I was like, he plays basketball. He likes rap music. I like rap music. Mitt Romney's a stiff and a politician. Obama will probably win, and he'll probably be a puppet, but like maybe he'll do something cool. Maybe he won't. That's what I thought about Obama. I never was like, because there's some people that are like right wingers now that are like, I was, campaigning for Hillary Clinton. I never gave a shit about the Democratic Party. I never liked Hillary. I never trusted Obama. He was just like, whatever, like I thought he was cool, but that's the extent of it. Like a cool guy, but a puppet. And then with Bernie Sanders, I thought he was like challenging the system. And because I was in my 20s and I had no idea what liberal or conservative meant, I knew nothing about taxes or healthcare. I was just like, oh, Bernie said all the right things. He's like, it's a political revolution. Both sides are corrupt. Hillary Clinton sucks. And I was like, yeah, Hillary does suck. It is rigged. And then he caved and was a total pussy. And then I realized that I was like, oh, Bernie sucks too. But it was a moment where I thought Bernie was really gonna like challenge the Democratic Party, but that all ended up being like just catchphrases. And then I learned my lesson. I was like, okay, if you say broad catchphrases, that doesn't mean you actually care. So it's like we're gonna beat the establishment. He used to always say that, and I'm like, yeah. And then it never happened, and I was like, Bernie got screwed, but I don't think he ever cared. Like that. This is a sad, like, especially if there's probably people here that like Bernie in 2015 or 2016. When you trust Bernie Sanders, you think he cares, and he got screwed and he got cheated. Like I thought that they cheated him, but it's like he's in on it. You know what I'm saying? People are talking about Seth Rich. Yeah, I know the whole thing, but Bernie doesn't care. It's like he's just another actor. You know what I'm saying? So it's like he got screwed, he got cheated, but he doesn't care. He's in on, like he's a total phony. And if you watch old videos of Bernie Sanders, he actually used to be awesome in certain categories, and he's not anymore. He sucks, and he's almost 90 years old. Get him out of there. Get him home. Give him a vacation home. He's got 3 or whatever. The socialist with 3 houses or 4 houses or whatever. But anyway, and then the same thing with Trump. Like, and a lot of people on the Trump side don't want to admit this, but it's like I thought the same thing about Trump. And then when I watched what he did, I was like, everyone just assumes that Trump's always getting screwed and he's not in on it. But like, what if he's like Bernie and he's just in on it? It's like, yeah, he's getting screwed. Yeah, that's really happening. Yeah, you should still vote for him. But what if he's just a part of the show? And this is what I ask myself. On one hand, it's like Trump has a pulse, Trump has a soul. He's the adult in the room. He's an interesting guy. He's a character. He's a wild boy. Let him win. I want him to win. In many ways, I think, they're afraid of Trump because of what he represents and who his supporters are. So they want to wrangle Trump and keep him controlled because his supporters are the ones that are more revolutionary. But then also, I weigh it out in my head. Like, as much as I see the benefits of Trump and want to vote for him, I do consider and highly think sometimes that it's just a show. Like he's the character in a show. So you're gonna see all of these plots. This happens, that happens, this happens, that happens. It makes your emotions. He gets arrested. Alvin Bragg, shoo, boom, 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 boom. But it's like a production, where it's like the end result's gonna be the same. You watch, you watch like Les Miserables or whatever on Broadway, and you're like, wow, but the ending's the same every time. It's scripted. They're acting. They're singing, they're dancing. Could be that. Someone said, hold on. Oh, stop. Here's the thing. I'm not saying it's 100%. I just said I'm kind of on the fence of which one I think it is. I'm not telling you to believe it. I'm not even telling you it's definitely true. I'm just saying I'm weighing these things out in my head. If you can't even consider what I just said, you're too far gone, and the people that get the most upset by what I'm saying are too far gone. Daniel, Zach, and Owen Benjamin and other people I follow, they've been questioning the Trump ear. Here's what I have to say to people. If that makes you like angry and upset, you're too far gone. You don't have to agree with Owen or Daniel, Zach about the ear thing. But if you get angry at somebody just simply like talking about it, you're too obsessed with politics. Like you could say, I think he got shot in the ear, but you're really going to get mad. Like people are getting like wildly angry at like people that are like, oh, how dare you say that his ear got hit, didn't get hit. And it's like, you could say calmly, I don't agree with you. You're wrong. But like getting so upset, like you're the same, no offense, but you're the same as this guy in the comments. Oh, stop what? Stop questioning. Stop questioning. Like, is this a circus or is it real? I didn't say it's 100% for sure a circus. You're too far gone. Too far gone if that bothers you to some crazy extent. You don't have to agree with me or other people, but don't get so upset. LG said An0maly equals privilege class. What makes me the privilege class? I'm just curious. Is it my job? Is it my skin color? Is it my gender? I don't know what angle you're coming at, but I'm not following you, but Michael Scaduda said, "An0maly, do you regret making that song I Like Trump since your opinion on him changed?" No, I don't regret it. I mean, I meant everything I said in the song for the most part. Like in 2018, everybody everybody was trying to tell me like I can't like Trump, you know? And if you listen to the lyrics of the song, I'll rap them in a second. I didn't say I love Trump. I'm obsessed with Trump. I said I like Trump, and I it's not that profound because it's just 3 words. But I was like, I'm just gonna say I like him because I watch people around me say like, you can't like him, you can't vote for him, you can't do this, you can't do that, and I'm like, what if I like him? What if I think he's funny? What if I think he's authentic? What if I like what some of the things he's saying? You can't. So then I just said, I like Trump. I don't really give a fuck. All y'all suck. I'm the realest. You just fake in front. I'm the plug. Y'all just do and follow like some sheep do what they want. I don't jump. I don't say that's how I feel like. I forget. Then I said, I'll be blunt and real. I do what I feel. I had some good lyrics in that song. I got to look them up. But no, I don't regret it at all because I meant what I said. And, I don't hate him now. I definitely still think he's cool in some ways, but yeah, I don't like him as much as I used to. But I don't know him like maybe getting shot in the ear made me like him more. I'm a simp. I'm a Trump got shot simp. So let me see the lyrics. I totally forget it, but I had some bars in there for sure that like. All right, I'm super. I'm so ahead of some of the stuff too. With what I said. All right, I said this. Let me read the lyrics real quick. I'm gonna just go through the whole song. All right. It's gonna be a little bit obnoxious, but at the same time, it's kind of educational. All right. So I said, I like Trump. I don't really give a fuck. All y'all suck. I'm too real to play it safe. You fake in front. I'm the plug. Y'all just follow like some sheep do what they want. I don't jump. I just saying how I feel like Donald Trump. I like Trump. I'll be blunt and real. I do what I feel. Smoke a blunt and chill. Make 100 mil. Beat the system while the matrix numbers peel. People hate me, but I make another deal. You don't understand the system. Yeah, I'm about to paint the picture. Yeah, media control the mind and censor everything that ever goes against them. Yeah, why they pin you as a victim? Yeah, so you always stay dependent. Yeah, then they tell you they gonna raise the taxes and help you out with everything you give them. Yeah, yet the homeless getting bigger. Yeah, sell some weapons out in Yemen. Yeah, I ain't getting into all the specifics, but you best believe I ain't tripping. Listen, all these rappers complain about taxes, but don't realize who tax them. Under control of the mind, got the culture hijacked and the people moving backwards. Kanye be trying to tell you the truth, but the critics still slashed him. Whatever happened to Prince, Dick Gregory, Dr. Sebi, Michael Jackson? I like Trump. That's for the people right there. It doesn't even matter what the song's about. I'm gonna run it back real quick. I said all these rappers complain about taxes, but don't realize who tax them. Under control of the mind, got the culture hijacked and the people moving backwards. Kanye be trying to 2018. Kanye be trying to tell you the truth, but the critics just slashed him. Whatever happened to Prince, Dick Gregory, Dr. Sebi, Michael Jackson? I like Trump. People are still gonna sleep on that. Look up all those people: Prince, Dick Gregory, Dr. Sebi, Michael Jackson. Those are bars for the people. I'm too nice with it. Let me get into the second verse. I said, I be blunt and chill. I do what I feel. Smoke a blunt and chill. Make 100 mil. Beat the system while the matrix numbers peel. People hate, but I just make another deal. Yeah, all of these politicians lie. Yeah, steal your money, stack it like Dubai. Got you in your feelings to the ceiling, but they're dealing with the villains and the killings to the side. Yeah, I'm about to teach you the truth. Yeah, they ain't trying to teach it to you. Yeah, they would rather keep you in the system, pay 100K for college just to end up in a prison. Yeah, they should sign your boy to Rockefeller. Ooh, I could preach on beat a acapella. Ooh, reaching deaf and blind like Helen Keller. Tell them, look up who it was who sent out Luther King a letter. We about to hit him with the red wave. Yeah, I ain't trying to be another tech slave. Nah, Zuckerberg and Bezos, check the halo. I'll be working with them angels while you stacking up them pesos from Pablo to AMLO. We gonna bring the God flow to all zones. I like Trump. Preaching deaf and blind like Helen Keller. Tell them, look up who it was who sent out Luther King a letter. Google who sent Martin Luther King a letter. Let me look it up real quick. Who sent Martin Luther King a letter? The FBI sent a letter to Martin Luther King to blackmail him and tell him to kill himself. Oh, wow. That's interesting. I never learned about that in history class. How come? We learned about Martin Luther King so much. How come I never learned that the FBI sent him a letter and told him to kill himself? I don't know. They must have left that part out. It's only like a really huge part of the story. But anyway, you can learn history through an An0maly song. So do I regret I Like Trump? No, it's a banger for the people. It's got so many good references, and there's nothing wrong with liking Trump. But I wish he would just stop being a little less lame, because then it's like the song goes way harder when he's crushing, you know? If he could be like, Israel, listen, Israel, stop with the Palestine, and Palestine, stop with the Israel, let's get along. Ukraine, Zelensky, stop being weird. You know, then that song's gonna bang again. Like if he could stop the two conflicts right now. Israel, oh my God, Iran. I ran to Iraq to get some turkey. I don't even know the difference between the countries. Blow them up, but world peace or something. You know, I don't know. If he could find peace, that would be fire. Then we'll bump that song again. Pone Sound Lab said, "You are lost, bro." Dude, I'm so lost with everything in my life. Do you know what I need? I need a guy on YouTube named PWN Sound Lab to like lead me. Can you please lead me, Pone Sound Lab? Because I'm like lost. Like I don't know where I am. Like you're the leader here, you know? You in the YouTube comments for sure. You're the leader. So please enlighten me, King Pone Lab. Someone said you would sign to Rockefeller. I wouldn't sign to Rockefeller. I just thought it was a cool lyric. Saying like they should, you know, they should try. I'm Pone Sound Lab, and like, dude, I'm like the leader. Like, everyone's lost. Follow me to the promised land. Cool, dude. So cool. Lost or just wondering? I don't know. It's like everything you say, people like they take it. Even like the make 100 mil. Like I haven't made 100 mil, but it was more like I was getting in the Trump zone, like, you know, because it's called I Like Trump. So it's like I wasn't saying like, I don't know. Trump's made hundreds of millions. So it's like, it's just gonna smoke a blunt and chill, make 100 mil, beat the system while the nature's come and feel. It's like, you know, usually I'm more literal, but like the Trump song is like a, you know, it's like, it's me. I'm not being myself, but it's like a, you know, you're bringing the inspiration of Trump into the song. So I got a new song coming up where like I really went off. It's called Don't Eat Fake Meat with Patriot J and DC the Capital. But I got some that my new song's probably out in like 2 weeks or something. But it starts off like this. I'm gonna only do a little bit, and then you know, you can hear the whole thing on my Patreon though. I did an Instagram live stream where I did it with the beat, and I think I rapped it live over the song, but it's called Don't Eat Fake Meat. And my verse starts off like this. I say, my name's An0maly and I eat organic. Y'all fund the wars. You don't feed the planet. We seeing through all your evil magic. That food is fake. Do not eat the sandwich. Words of advice. Better start learning your rights. I'm going to turn up the lights. They passing laws in America, calling it hate if you talk of the murder of Christ. No defamation. Get to chase and let's embrace it. Say his name like an exclamation. In the Lord's house, we don't need desecration. I'm the best. I don't even need an explanation. My Southside flow got Texas quaking. Everybody knows the North is colder. Our fortress open. Did you know Bill Gates gave 100 racks to the red governor of North Dakota? I'm not gonna do the rest, but I was like, I got like 2 minutes of just straight bars. I was coming in for it. But anyway. I'm gonna turn up the lights. They're passing laws in America, calling it hate if you talk of the murder of Christ. No defamation. Get to chase and let's embrace it. Say his name like an exclamation. In the Lord's house, we don't need desecration. I'm the best. I don't even need an explanation. Anyway. Pone Sound Lab said LMFAO trash, An0maly. What's so dumb is I literally said they're passing laws in America, calling it hate if you talk of the murder of Christ. It's like the opposite of An0maly, but you know, whatever. Whatever makes you feel good inside, bro. You could just lie to yourself and nobody believes you, but it's okay. Let me see. Do I know Derek Bronze? No, I don't know who that is now. Anyway. The North never set the slaves free, somebody said. They made the 14th Amendment a privilege class, not rights. Maybe, I don't know. Could be, could not be. I don't know which one's the 14th Amendment again? Let's do some research. 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution, it granted citizenship to all people born or naturalized in the U.S., including formerly enslaved people. States that no, okay. I don't know. Anyway, you should do a collab with Ben Shapiro. I have a Ben Shapiro line in the song. I have a line about Ben Shapiro, but it's not a collab. It's gonna be funny. Let me see if I have it. I want to think about it. And I name drop Lindsey Graham in my lyrics. I name drop Christy Noam, and I name drop Ben Shapiro in my lyrics. Should I give you guys a little more from that song? Because I got a funny Lindsey Graham lyric, and then I also have a funny Ben Shapiro lyric. But it's okay. He's not gonna want to collab with me after it. Someone said Trump couldn't take the risk of being blackmailed. It's definitely possible. I mean, dude, I would not. You never want to like envy people. Like sometimes people are like, I could do it, and it's like, dude, I like Trump. It's dicey up at the top. You know, it's not a position you really want to be in. So, God bless him. All right, I'll do my lyric. It sounds better with the music, of course, but let me see. Let me see where I should start from. All right, I said, y'all can't really mess with the boy. Leftists always sucking down soy. Republicans getting tricked too, eating fake food, but we make do. I'm the base truth. Pray to Jesus on unpaid dues, and I raised roofs. The pandemic changed me and rearranged me. I'm not trying to be angry. I'm Babe Ruth with a home run, but I hate you. I'm not even trying to play pretend. There's one thing that you'll never see, and that's Lindsey Graham with a lady friend. He'd probably rather be with 80 men selling weapons to Arabians. You got a country, he's invading it. The New World Order is the gayest trick. I'd drop a bar about Ben Shapiro, but they would just say that it's anti-Semitic. I'm Thomas Massey, you can't lobby me. Bet I would have won if I ran for the Senate. I got a plan for the finish, can't full of winners, ball so hard, make it look like an amateur scrimmage. I'm slamming the ball in the hoop. Everybody knows that I am the truth. I'm the best. But yeah. There's one thing that you'll never see, and that's Lindsey Graham with a lady friend. He'd probably rather be with 80 men selling weapons to Arabians. You got a country, he's invading it. The New World Order is the gayest trick. Anyway, yeah, I'm excited about that song. I was just trying to I was like, if I'm gonna write a verse, I'm trying to write the best rap verse of the year. It's like a 2-minute verse. I just go for like so long. I just keep going. It doesn't stop. But you could watch the whole thing on my Patreon thing. I uploaded like a 2-hour live stream from Instagram. The song's gonna be called Don't Eat Fake Meat. It's a collaboration. It's with 2 other rappers. So it's not really my song. He just sent it to me and was like, do you want to be on this song? And I like the beat and the lyrics. So I was like, yeah, for sure. Would I interview An0maly? Probably not, because, listen, I'm just gonna say this because I'm in a peaceful place. I'm not trying to start shit. I've never had a problem with that guy. Never really watched him. Never really cared about him. I thought his tweets were funny and some of his quotes were funny. Never thought anything negative about the guy. I found out he was running around behind the scenes trying to cancel my podcast and say, "Don't talk to An0maly. He's anti-Semitic," to Roseanne and her family. So fuck him. You know what I'm saying? Not only do I not want to talk about him, he's a little sleazy snake. I don't even know him. I've never talked to him. I've never thought any. He talks about how edgy he is, an anarchist, and nothing offends him. And then he's running around behind the scenes trying to basically stop me from getting an opportunity with someone like Roseanne that I've known for 6 years. I've hung out with her 5 times. I've basically gone shopping for her and brought her fruit in Hawaii with my friend from a farmer's market. And that little fucking weasel is talking shit, and I've never even talked to him or met him. I think he's a fraud, just like Lex Friedman and all those guys like that. They're little fucking weasels. You know what I'm saying? They're just like little sleazy snakes that play a different role for the public. And then behind the scenes, they're running around gatekeeping. And then their public appearance is like, we don't gatekeep. That's not what we do here. It's like, yeah, not to the public, but so fuck them, and never had a problem with them before. Still don't have a problem with them now. But it's like, I've never once done that to anybody ever. Never once told anybody ever to not talk to somebody on a podcast. Do you know what I'm saying? Especially somebody that knows somebody else that's hung out with them 4 times. Like, even if I don't like somebody, I'm not going to be like, don't talk to them. It's not high school. I'm not in middle school. You know what I'm saying? I'm not like, oh, don't sit at her table. It's like, dude, whatever. Podcast with who you want to podcast with. Like, I'm not running your life. So Yeah, Dave Rubin is exactly the same. Dave Rubin, Lex Friedman, that guy, they all do the same thing. They're like, free speech, except for the country that I definitely don't support, and everybody else is being hateful to me. And then I know people that said the same thing about Dave Rubin. He's done the same thing to people behind the scenes, just try to blacklist them and make sure nobody talks to them. And it's usually people that are honest and could destroy him in a debate. So isn't that just interesting? It's all fake. That's why I'm in my own lane. I'm not competing with these people because I don't know what they're doing, but it's not what I'm doing. So, you know, it's whatever. But shit like that, I'm just like, wait, who did what? Why would they do that? I don't even know them. But the whole like right wing Republican media thing, it's all just like controlled opposition. It's like literally they just try to basically control who can get to certain parts in order to control the narrative for foreign policy. And like they control the Overton window of what is and isn't allowed. So it's like if you're edgy, but you're honest, they don't want you there. So they blacklist you and then they provide the edgy guy, like, because then it gatekeeps who the edgy is. It's like Jordan Peterson's now controlled. So Jordan Peterson can, be that guy with the weird suits and looking like a psychopath and, crying all the time and, like being weird, but smart. It's like, you think you're getting like the best of the best and the realest of the real. But in reality, there's like 15 people behind the scenes that are literally running around blacklisting anybody that would upstage them to make sure that nobody knows about anybody that's honest or funny or challenging their narrative. And then the second that they get through, they put up like a Michaela Peterson video, who I've never had a problem with. She seems like a lovely lady, but she puts up a video saying, I think censorship should increase on Twitter. Why? Because I got ratioed by a bunch of right wingers that I don't like. And they're hateful and they're posting Nazi content and stuff. It's like the left wing calls right wingers Nazis and tries to ban them and calls them Nazis. You call left wingers Nazis. It's like, so now you're going to ban people because they ratioed you on Twitter? Like, this is who the right is. People don't want to acknowledge this. And it sounds like I'm just hating or something. I'm not a hater. I identify that Jordan Peterson is incredibly intelligent and he's really good at debating like weird feminist BBC hosts. But everything I'm saying is true. Like there's people like Dave Rubin and Malice and whatever that are basically like, always trying to control what can and can't like rise the ranks. And not that they really have that much power to do it, but it's just so annoying. Like that's why nothing ever changes in Republican Party, because here's your leader, here's your funny guy, here's your edgy guy. Like you go to Daily Wire, Candace Owens was starting to get edgy and interesting and different. They're all the same and she's different. Okay. Now she's gone because Michael Knowles is the controlled edgy guy. Like he's not even that funny or edgy. I'm funnier than Michael Knowles. I'm edgier than Michael Knowles. I'm more honest. My work is better. I'm not bragging, but I am bragging. I'm better than him at almost every level of everything that we're doing. Whatever. I don't care. He seems like a nice guy. But in general, it's like that's the Daily Wire's version of funny and edgy, like the Catholic edgy guy, because he stays within the parameters of what they want people to know and see. And the second that Candace Owens gets outside the parameters of what they want you to know and see, they start bad mouthing her and get rid of her. Like that's right wing media as well. Oh, wait, they're telling the truth about the Bolshevik Revolution? Get them out of here. We need Republicans to think about left and right how we think about left and right. We need Republicans to have our foreign policy. We need Republicans to think that we are not doing this when we are doing this. So anybody that gets big enough, and here's the thing that I want to say too, because it is what it is. I'm not mad at anybody, but I knew this 6 years ago, 7 years ago. I never judged or hated, but like when Candace got that massive Daily Wire opportunity, she earned it. She deserved it. She's a superstar. She deserves the money. She deserves the platform. Candace is a star, whether Daily Wire hires her or doesn't hire her. So like, I never thought anything about Candace getting an opportunity. I was happy to see her doing well. I was even on her show at the Daily Wire studio. So it's all good. But in general, I always knew in 2019, in 2020, in 2021, and 2022, I always knew Candace is allowed to be there. Jordan Peterson's allowed to be there. Michael Knowles is allowed to be there. Brett Cooper's allowed to be there. And Matt Walsh is allowed to be there because they don't pass this line when it comes to Zionism and Israel or the anti-Semitism speech laws. And they just don't talk about it, right? And as soon as Candace started talking about it, you saw the shift and you saw her leave. It is what it is. Jeremy Boring has the right to do that. Ben Shapiro has a right to not want to platform it or whatever. But I knew that 6 years ago. Like I know that that's the line. So that's why these people, not them, but other people that I talked about earlier, that's why they were running around behind the scenes trying to cancel my Roseanne podcast with Roseanne, who I've always liked. And Roseanne's awesome to me. She's never done anything wrong. She's always been cool. She's always allowed me to talk, and we're actual friends. Like, I like her and her family. They're cool. But in general, it's like they didn't want me on that show because they know I know about the anti-Semitism speech laws. And the only way that they could pass speech laws all over the country is if Republicans don't know about it. Because if Dan Bongino talked about it and Ben Shapiro talked about it and all these Republicans talked about it, their fan base would oppose it. Like, Trump supporters would be like, we don't like that. But no one knew about it until this year because there's a concerted effort behind the scenes to blacklist anybody who talks about it in any form and call them too far right and call them anti-Semitic and whatever. And some of your favorite edgy people in the right-wing movement are either in on it completely, where they're doing the gatekeeping, or they know what they're doing and they don't want to go there because they know that they're going to lose their job. Matt Walsh, intelligent, smart, has the right opinions, but he barely talks about this stuff because he knows it's a tree he doesn't want to climb up, because climbing up that tree is not good for his career. So if he, wasn't there, I'm sure he'd talk about it a little bit more, but it's a career move. It's a business decision where it's like, I do enough stuff, he's made enough enemies, talking about the LGBT. He probably just doesn't want to take on another battle, because why would he? I respect that, because it's a lot to deal with. But at the same time, now it's the same reason Stephen A. Smith won't say this. It's the same reason this person got the vaccine. Like, now we're just doing all the shit that we claim we hated on the other side. And, it's really what's going on. So it's not like I'm super upset about it or even care, but I'm just being transparent about the whole thing. That's what's been going on in Republican media forever. And even now, the party, even though Trump's there, the party's still controlled by the donors. There's still not a real civil war, but it's like a metaphorical like battle going on between the people that want to control where Trump supporters' brains go and people that actually have good intentions. Thomas Massey's the real deal. Listen to him. You can understand everything in the nicest, calmest, most easy, simple way. Because a lot of people know a lot of stuff, but a lot of people are not necessarily good people, and a lot of people are not like nice. Thomas Massey's a nice guy. He'll tell you everything you need to know. And 99% of Congress and 95% of Republican media, they won't go there. So, it is what it is. But yeah, that's the type of stuff that happens. But everything happens for a reason. Like, when doors close, it's not like it is what it is. But I can't stand, especially people that make a whole career, someone like a Dave Rubin, right? Who I've always liked. He made his whole career off of no safe spaces and free speech. But then he's celebrating that France is getting rid of Palestine protests, like legal Palestine protests. They're saying are not allowed in France. Oh, what else just happened in France? Oh, the super gay LGBTQ plus Justin Trudeau, YZ, Justin Trudeau, Macron, whatever. I'm just messing around. But like, that was in France, because that's who France is. That's the liberal gay world order. That's the uniparty. That's the neocon, neoliberal Zionist, policy. They won't say it is their policy, and they'll be like, no, it's not. You're just being hateful. But it's like, wasn't Dave Rubin just celebrating like 6 months ago that France was eliminating protests for Palestine? You don't have to like Palestinians. You could want to arrest criminals if they do anything illegal or, blocking traffic. Arrest them, destroying property. I think the penalties should be higher when you destroy art or the Stonehenge or something. I think the penalties should be really high, to be honest. But I'm not saying to let shitty people get away with crimes, but if it's a peaceful protest, you can't just say, oh, look at the Nazis and the Palestinians and this person, let's get rid of their peaceful protest, because then you lose your peaceful protest. Americans understood this 20 years ago. 20 years ago, everybody understood. Even the worst groups were allowed to peacefully protest. But Dave Rubin's on Instagram getting ratioed by his audience because he's celebrating the fact that Palestinian protests are now illegal in France, because that's what they want to do here. So in the right-wing media, it's all in there. And the second someone realizes that they're trying to turn America into Europe and America into France, they blacklist you. And behind the scenes, they're like, yo, don't let him on the show, because they want to be the edgy guy, because they want to be the conservative, because they want to be the free speech warrior, because they're really not. It's all just a controlled opposition scheme. That's the truth. You know what I'm saying? And the only way they could get people not to realize that is by every time they get caught doing that sneaky stuff, then it's like everybody realizes and calls them out on it. And then 2 weeks later, they're like, look at the trans, look at the crazy people that are crazier than me. Whoa, now I'm on your side again, guys. But they're not, and that's how I see it. Uh, and it's worth noting. I don't know. So I got to limit my live streams. I can't be doing like 5 a week, but I could do this a couple times a week for sure. Someone said on the right side of the plot are counties where Trump got a larger share than Biden in 2020. I'm not sure what you're saying, but Karen said, keep telling the cold, hard truth. And yeah, it is what it is. Like it's nothing personal. It's nothing like I'm not doing anything crazy. Like it's literally people trying to blacklist others and people trying to sell out the First Amendment, in my view. That's important to me. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, we'll keep it going a little bit. Someone said, take care of yourself. Yeah, I was just doing too much at once. So like there's other business things that I have to do outside of this. Like I run my own business. I do all like the paperwork and stuff. So it's like I just got so caught up that I think I just got overly stressed. So once I took a step back, like I feel great today. Your body just needs to rest sometimes. So it was just a lot at once. But someone said, I still like Matt Walsh, but even he's hard to listen to when you're awake to the game. He's great at what he does, but he knows where he can't go at where he's at. And it's frustrating when you read his old papers because he knows all the stuff I'm saying. He used to say it even more aggressively, but it's like, say I really wanted to talk about like election fraud, or I'm just giving you like an example. Say I really wanted to talk about election fraud, and then I talk to a major media company and they say, hey, you can't talk about this if you go to our network. For some reason, I understand why they did it, because Republicans were getting really sloppy with it and just delusional. And also they were getting sued by like Dominion. So there's like business reasons why they don't do that. And for me, I think you should be able to talk about whatever you want, but be accurate. The problem I have with a lot of Republicans is just because you're not liberal doesn't mean you're accurate. There's a lot of people just throwing darts everywhere, and I don't like that shit. I don't care what you're talking about, but there's a certain sacrifice that you make in order to go on certain places. And some of them are righteous and some of them are justified and some of them are okay. It's like, I'll just not do this here, but I could do it somewhere else. But with Matt is such a talent. Matt and Daily Wire, let's be clear. I feel like they made Matt Walsh even bigger. So it's not like he is doing something, they're doing a disservice to him. They helped him. I don't think Matt Walsh ever would have been as important or popular as he is if it weren't for Daily Wire. Like, they're not all bad. They've done a lot of great things for Matt Walsh. They've, vice versa. He's done a lot for them. It's a good partnership, but he knows that line. Like, he probably would be talking about it if he were independent, but everyone saw what happened to Candace. And then, I can't speak for Matt Walsh because I never even met him, but when you got Andrew Klavan and stuff calling Candace Owens like anti-Semitic and this and that, I guarantee you Matt Walsh is watching this thinking like, that's bullshit. He's, Candace is not, like, you say what you want about her, but like, she's not that. And that's crazy that he's doing that, but he's not going to say anything about it because those are his coworkers. And it's like, well, I'm safe. I'm the line. Like, Matt Walsh is their useful like attack dog, where Matt Walsh is like a strong attack dog, and they give him a certain amount of leash. And they're like, you can be our line. Our line is Matt Walsh doesn't want to fund Israel or any country. Matt Walsh doesn't agree with the speech laws, and he talks about it once every couple of years. That's our line, and Matt knows that's the line. So he's fine to play that role because he's like, I could say what I want. I could say I'm against them, but I'm not going to lean into it that much because, like, I'm more passionate about other projects that I'm doing. It's all good, but I just knew it's like Candace was saying all sorts of crazy shit for years. No one cared. She said a lot of crazy stuff about the left and BLM and celebrities. No one cared. And then she started questioning Zionism a little bit or a lot of bit. I don't know. Depends how you see it. Bye-bye. You're gone. You're off. Next person. Jordan Peterson. You're not going to do that, right? Okay. We'll elevate you. Oh, if you had a change of heart, you're gone. It's like everybody knows that. So it is what it is. Why is it so forbidden to mention Israel? How long do we have? There's a lot of different elements and angles to the games that are being played. I could probably talk about it for 30 minutes. I don't know if I want to right now, but why? Because there's a whole control system set up around that. Like, you can criticize China and nobody accuses you of hating all Chinese people. You can criticize Russia, Afghanistan, like almost every country besides America is a country of their people mostly. Like if you shit on Japan, it's almost all Japanese people. It doesn't mean you hate all Japanese people in the world because there's other Japanese people in the world. All Jewish people are not in Israel, but they say that anti Zionism is anti Semitism and overly criticizing Israel means you hate Israel because they're fighting for their existence. So they've created this narrative that 50 other countries of their ethnicity, you can really go out, say that you don't like what they're doing, and nobody accuses you of like trying to stop them from existing. But they've created a narrative where only their country, the ethno state, the one that you need their genetics and DNA in order to get a passport, while they push multiculturalism to the rest of the world, only it's hateful. So that's a baseline of how they've used the word anti-Semitism, where it's like the whole playing field is just rigged from that moment on. And just like every other race, yeah, there's Jewish people in America that don't like Israel. There's millions of Jews all over the world. Of course, that's the ethno state for them. But how come every other country doesn't ethno state is racist in Europe and everywhere else in the world, but in their country it's not? What if Italy said you can only get into Italy to take a DNA test? We want to make sure you're 100% Italian. The press would call them racist, or whatever. But with Israel, I guess it's all right, right? Because we fund them a couple $2 billion a year or whatever. So there's a lot of elements to it, a lot of donor money, a lot of media control. So since there's most of the donors are that, most of the media controls that, what are the speech laws that are being passed through the donors that pay off both parties? The speech laws stop you from saying it. So there's multi-layered double standards where it's like, not only is this all happening, but if you talk about it, now, not only are we going to say you're hateful in the press and push it, but now we're going to work in laws all over the world that are trying to criminalize it. Make no mistake, they're trying to criminalize speech. They've done it in dozens of countries. Google, I've told people this before, but the anti-Semitism laws that they're passing, they're global laws. They're being passed by groups like the ADL, the World Jewish Congress, and all these global Jewish groups that say it's anti-Semitic to say that they're global Jewish groups. But anyway, they're on stage, some of the leaders, like the guy from the World Jewish Congress, he's saying he wants it all over the world and he wants it to be a bigger crime. It's called the IHRA anti-Semitism laws. Google IHRA and pick a city, pick a country. Most of them have it. Italy, Spain, Barcelona, Brazil, Argentina. Just come up with a city or a country in your head that the West controls, and all of those laws are being passed. So they're blanketing the entire Europe and America and most of the world with these speech laws, and then they're pushing to criminalize them more and more and more. So it's this multi-layered scheme, essentially, where it's like, we're going to stop people from talking about it. We're going to demonize them. We're going to make them look crazy. We're going to make it illegal. We're going to make it a crime. Eventually, we want to arrest them for stating the reality of the situation. Even if you're pro-Israel, there's nothing wrong with that. Be pro-Israel, live in Israel, be Jewish. It's whatever. Like that, God bless everybody. I'm not asking people to be against Israel. It's just like, this is the reality of the situation. Why is it so forbidden? Because it's the only country that essentially you get accused of just being like hateful for disagreeing with. There's laws for that country all over the world. Is there any other country that has laws in Argentina, laws in Brazil, laws in America, laws in almost every state? No, because they have global groups that work on behalf of their ethnicity and their religion. And one of the main agendas of the global groups that work on behalf of their ethnicity and religion is they're trying to pass speech laws to say that it's hate speech, to say that they have global groups passing laws for their religion. So it's like, not only are they doing so many things, but they want to make it a crime for you to even mention that they're doing it. Because if you can't even talk about it, then there's nothing, you're screwed. So all these things are really happening. Republicans are passing these speech laws too. They're all sold out. Trump sold out. DeSantis sold out. They've already passed these laws. This is what I was telling people a year ago or 6 months ago when Matt Walsh and Ben Shapiro started talking about the laws. Everyone's like, oh, look, they opposed the speech laws. Guys, Trump and DeSantis passed them in 2019. If they passed them in 2019, Matt Walsh and Ben Shapiro do this for a living, and they never talked about it until 2023 or 2024. Charlie Kirk never mentioned it until 2024. They had to mention it. The dam broke, and they had to make a PR statement. I guarantee you they knew about this in 2019. They're fake opposition. They're there. Like Matt Walsh is the dog on the leash to show you like what's edgy and what's not, and they make sure that the people in that position won't talk about it, or else they get Candace Owens. So it's the definition of controlled opposition. Global speech laws for one race, one religion, and one country to say that you can't say that people are funding these speech laws. How else did they get all over the world? Everybody just woke up and passed the same exact hate speech laws into existence. You get arrested in certain parts of Europe for saying this. Like, read the laws. I've made videos on it for 5 or 6 years. That's why it's so forbidden to talk about, because there's dozens of countries you go to prison for talking about it. In America, they can't throw you in prison yet, but they want to. And if you talk about it, they try to ruin your life forever. And pull advertisers, pull sponsors, make everybody hate you, and both parties are in on it. You can't be Dan Bongino if you lean into this topic. You can't be Matt Walsh if you lean into this topic. You can't get to that level. They won't let you. You can do it independently, but if you try to do it through their media resources, unless you do what Candace did, which is blow up and not talk about it and then talk about it, but now you're too big where they like are stuck with you, or Tucker Carlson, he doesn't talk about it a lot, but he knows what's going on, and he does talk about it sometimes. But they can't do shit with Tucker, really, because Tucker's just so popular. So, some people have played the game and then talked about it, but for the most part, they do everything that they can to make sure that if you do that, they make you seem crazy. I want to use Prince as an example because this is a different topic. But from what I heard, and I got to do more research on it, but I remember thinking Prince was crazy. Like I wasn't a big Prince fan, but the media told me when I was young, Prince is crazy. He changed his name to a symbol. Like he's losing his mind. He thinks he's a symbol. Like, what's he doing? But then I found out that according to sources that I looked, like I said, I have to really affirm this, but he lost rights to his own name. So even though his name was Prince, like certain record labels owned a huge portion, and he just kind of like lost control of his own brand. So he made a new brand with the symbol to try to like own more stuff, So it's like the media never, if they would have explained that, they're like, he changed his name to a symbol because he owns more of the symbol than he does of his own name, Prince. And it made it was a business decision. You're like, oh, Prince is not crazy. He's smart and really talented and he's super funny. You're like, that makes total sense. But they make him seem anybody that doesn't play the certain games in business, or they just make you seem like you're freaking insane. And it's a message to everybody else. It's like, do you want to try to own all your music? Do you want to go outside of our business structure? We'll make you seem insane. You know what I'm saying? We will try to ruin your life, and we will try to break you mentally to the point where you got to take pills and be all fucked up because you can't even live with yourself. That's what we're going to do. Oh, do you want to do that? Sure. Oh, you don't want to do that? Then we'll elevate you. So it's a message to like everybody. And every business has a different like structure, but I think there's a lot of that going on in politics, just to a different extent than maybe Prince was dealing with. And Michael Jackson, that was another wild scenario that they didn't really cover, but in general, someone said, why is no one talking about Trump saying this election will be the last time Christians need to vote? A lot of people are talking about it. It's just not people that are like super obsessed with them. But I saw the clip. It's a little weird, but like that's the thing. Trump he just can't get out of his own way sometimes. Like if you're running as a Christian, you don't want to like seem that psychotic, in America at this moment. And like, why would he say it's the last election you have to vote? Like it's a weird thing to say. Maybe he was just riffing, but yeah, I don't know. The Democrats are definitely good at being like fake and not saying that much, and Trump just kind of like lets it loose sometimes. Like I'm sure that will deter a lot of people, like not everybody. Christians might like it, but I don't even understand what he's trying to say, I just think he's just talking, but it's whatever. It's going to be a dictatorship. I mean, that's what it sounds like. I don't think he really meant it, but like, say you don't like Trump or you're on the fence and he says some shit like that. People underestimate how many people don't pay attention that much. Like I have some friends that they'll probably vote for Trump, but they'll look at that and be like, what? Why did he say that? That's kind of weird. So I feel like choosing your words properly is important. But he's doing other good things as well with the crypto stuff. Someone mentioned like the crypto people love him now, so it's going to be a battle. Someone said Trump says a lot of weird stuff. It's a lack of discipline. He's definitely like the rich kid that's just super cool and was always good with women and was always funny and like good at golf. Like he's good at golf. You watch the Bryson DeChambeau video, he's really good at golf. It's pretty crazy. His swing looks wild, but like he just like is really good. But anyway, Trump's been like rich and successful and famous his whole life, and he just always wins. And I feel like that's the story of Trump is he does a lot of shit because it's like a trust fund kid who never their daddy never tells them no. They just douchey sometimes. But if you're a trust fund kid who's like also awesome, then it's like you can get away with being douchey because women still like you because you're attractive to them. So that's like Trump, like his lack of discipline makes him epic, but also it can be a problem. I mean, just like me, like being off the cuff, like sometimes you say things that maybe you could have worded better. So it's relatable. I like Trump, but yeah, I think like I also here's another thing too. If you watch the Bryson DeChambeau video of Trump, he's not it's very natural because he's just golfing. And when you watch Trump on stage, he's got a lot of makeup on. He's what I'm saying? They make him look good for the cameras. Like Trump is old. And I'm voting for Trump. I want him to win. Biden's older, but they got rid of Biden because he was too old. Trump is still the nominee. Now he's the old guy, and he's so impressive, and he's so good at golf, and he's so funny, and he's got so much energy. He's got more energy than me, but he's still almost 80 years old. And when you watch the Bryson DeChambeau golf video, you could see how old he is. Like he looked like people were like, look how good he looks. He looks younger than he did 8 years ago. Yeah, with makeup on a camera with a filter or something. But like if you look at all the unfiltered pictures of him or that video, he looks really, really, really old. Like he looks 20 years older than he did 10 years ago because the difference between being 70 and 79 is extraordinary. So is being 26 and 36 or 36 and 46. But to me, 70 to 80 is one of the biggest age jumps because you're just getting up there. So, I personally, I hope Trump wins, but like, do you know how hard it is for an 80-year-old to do speeches all the time? Guys, I almost said I'm 20. I'm 34 years old and I got stressed out. I've been doing live streams every day since I was 19 years old. I needed a break. And I'm 34 years old. I'm less than half of Trump's age. He's almost 80 and he's everywhere all the time. He's not going to be able to do this for 4 years. He's going to decline a lot. So some of the things like, why did he say this? Why did he say that? My question is, how is he even doing all these things? Like, some days I don't want to do shit. You know what I'm saying? Like you wake up and you're just like, other jobs, it's easy to go through the motions. For a public speaker, like you can't just like go through the motions. You got to like talk to the public in front of crowds and answer questions for 4 hours. Like you have to be present. You can't just do a desk job or hide behind a phone. Like it's really difficult to do what he's doing. It's, to put a 79-year-old through that is crazy. Even for the last election, I know that DeSantis has his flaws, but so does Trump. And the thing is, at least with DeSantis, it's over now, but you know who DeSantis is. You know where he's being sneaky. You could tell where DeSantis is being sold out to the donors. Everybody talks shit to him. That's good. Trump does a lot of the same shit. Everybody for a year was like, oh, DeSantis is sold out to Israel. Oh, and Trump is fighting them? No, he's the most pro-Israel Republican of all time. Like, what are you talking about? Like, he's in no way, shape, or form. Like, only in your head is he like battling them. And, maybe it'll happen. Like he's doing the same shit. Him and DeSantis do the same things. They pass the same speech laws. They take the same donor money. It is what it is, but it's like everybody, in my view, even though I like Trump in some ways more than DeSantis, they unfairly just said DeSantis is sold out to the rhinos and Trump's totally not. It's not true. And DeSantis is like 40 years younger. So now, the Democrats did the smart thing, which was pull Biden off of the national stage because he's an old, embarrassing psycho. And then they put in the young lady to psyop people into voting for him. And then Trump's old as shit now. So it's like, I still think Trump is better and he's awesome and he's funny and he's cool and he's so likable. But people will be like, why did he say that this is the last election? He's 79 years old. He always was just talking shit. Like Trump, he never gave a fuck, which is hilarious. Like he used to just read his old tweets. The guy never cared. He was just like, I just want to let, what was the guy's name from Twilight or something? Like, let me see. Trump, Twilight, actor, tweet. I'll just read Trump's tweet. Like, he used to just talk shit to actors. Here's what he says. Ready? Robert, I'm getting a lot of heat saying you should dump Kristen, but I'm right. If you saw the Miss Universe girls, you would consider. After Friday's Twilight release, I hope Robert Pattinson will be not seen in public with Kristen. She would cheat on him again. Everybody wants me to talk about Robert Pattinson. Robert Pattinson is putting on a good face for the release of Twilight. He took my advice on Kristen Stewart. I hope everyone knows I'm right about Robert Pattinson. He should dump Kristen Stewart. In a couple years, he will thank me. Be smart, Robert. So many tweets about Robert. He's got like 20 tweets telling the actor in Twilight to break up with his girlfriend. Like, is that some shit anybody else is tweeting? Trump is so funny. Like, I like that Trump is that guy, but imagine that guy in the White House at 80 years old. Of course, he's going to say some crazy shit. He always said crazy shit, like always. And now he's almost 80. So he's like, you'll never have to vote again. Why did he say that? I don't know. Why did he spend 15 tweets telling Robert Pattinson to break up with his girlfriend? Because it's Trump. But now it's Trump. Yeah, he probably was right about it too. Trump is hilarious. But 80, like, people are going to find out the difference between a 48-year-old and an 80-year-old. Like, he's, you know, I don't know. To me, I was hoping more people got behind DeSantis, and it's not because I liked him, but I'm like, he's younger. He's less like, I don't know. I feel like he's pretty likable, but also all the flaws that DeSantis has, it's like Trump does the same thing. Like, like people are like, oh, DeSantis is going to start a war with Iran for Israel. It's like, oh yeah, and Trump's totally not, right? Trump's going to, I mean, maybe, I don't know. Trump does like play both sides a lot. Like maybe he could find peace there and stop a war. I hope so. That's what everyone hopes for. But like maybe he just does the same shit that DeSantis does, but maybe we lose the election. I don't know. I hope he wins, but yeah, I don't know. Long story short, he's old, and there's nothing wrong with being old, but it'll be fascinating to see Trump in office with JD Vance as a vice president, with Trump at like 82 years old. It's like, it's going to keep declining. Like there's going to be like more and more decline, but Trump is such a badass that he's going to power through it. He's never going to admit it, just like Biden didn't, but I don't think he's declining that much. Like, I think Trump's epic. I think I'm not trying to like shit on him. I'm just saying he's like really old, like, and nobody wants to admit it. Like, I watch like certain people on Twitter, they're like, look how great he looks. He looks even younger. Bro, get an unphotoshopped or unmakeuped picture of him and he looks old. But yeah, compared to Biden, he looks amazing. He looks like Michael Jordan at 25 years old, except just not black or blacker. No, I'm just kidding. Had to make a joke like that. It's funny. Just kidding. It's not. It's actually not funny. It's like really hateful. And I'm gonna go to a Martin Luther King Jr. museum and look at the wall for an hour, and then I'm gonna come out and apologize because that's how I could tell you that I've learned my lesson from my hilarious joke. Someone said Trump's ear just looked like sun damage. I mean, I'm gonna look at. I don't know if my video might freeze if I put it up again, but I mean, do you like what? I don't know, experts of that type of like bullet, like, I don't know, getting hit in the ear. Like, what do you think it would do to an ear? Do you think it would like hit it? Like, if it just nicked it? I don't know. I can't really tell you, but I'm just like open to everybody asking questions. And then I could sift through all the information and make a decision. Right now, I'm leaning towards they tried to kill Trump because they want Biden to win. But the Secret Service set him up. I'm leaning towards that, but it's not like I'm not so mad at that. For example, there's a lot of people on Twitter that I follow that are, I don't know what I would really call them. Let's just say further right. They're not normie Republicans. They're like more into talking about race and religion sometimes. Sometimes they don't like religion, but in general, it's like the further right, I guess I would call it. I don't know. I'm not trying to like badmouth people or do media labels, but let's just say the further right. I watch people in the quote unquote further right argue about flat earth. And like some of them were getting so mad about like Owen Benjamin doing the flat earth thing. And it's like, what is being like white or being right wing or being Christian? Like, what does that have to do with like the shape of the earth? Like, why do you care so much what other people think about the shape of the earth? Like, it's one thing if you're like, yo, I think it's round. Sure. Okay. Yeah. But like, just to be like, screw you. You're so dumb. You're so dumb. It's so round. You're so wrong. And it's like, you're going to You're going to let a whole movement that has nothing to do with the shape of the earth like get destroyed over the shape of the earth. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if you think it's round, like, why are you so mad at someone who thinks it's flat? Like, I don't understand. Like, you could just laugh at it or say I don't agree. But like, I watched like a bunch of accounts just like get crazy angry over like the shape of the earth. They're like, you can't be in our movement if you think it's flat. It's like, your move has nothing to do with the shape of the earth. Like, literally, that's completely irrelevant to anything you're talking about when it comes to society or economics or nation, building or whatever. It's just like people fascinate me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just like fascinated by it. It's like everybody's so weird to me. I'm like, you're that pissed off at the shape? Like, you're gonna have an internal battle within your group over the shape of the earth. It's wild. I don't know. Just like how it's the same thing with the ear. People are like, how dare you question his ear? His ear is a patriot ear. And you're like, okay, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, you're right. No questions. But you're also asking questions, but no questions that you don't want to question. But you're going to question the Secret Service, and you're going to question the shooter, and you're going to question the roof, and you're going to question Cheadle, and you're going to question Mayorkas, and you're going to question the ladder, and you're going to question like the Secret Service not talking to them. You're going to question all these things, but I'm not allowed to question the ear. Okay. I don't care. Like, it's like, I don't have a huge stance on this. So if I did, I'd tell you. I tell you what I really think all the time. I'm not afraid to. I just don't get like, when I say I don't care, I'm not being like a passive aggressive beta. I'm being an alpha. I'm just like, I don't, like, I'm going to go to the gym hopefully today, maybe not if I'm lazy, and work out. That's something I can control. That's something that's good for me. Getting mad at someone's opinion of the shape of the earth or getting mad at someone's opinion of Trump's ear. How is that alpha? I don't get it. Like, you're out, buddy. You're out of the crew. You think his ear looks like sunburn? Screw you, liberal. I had some lady in my Instagram live. She's calling me like a Kamala supporter. She's like, oh, you're a Kamala supporter. I'm like, do you really believe that? You could say a lot of things about me, but a Kamala supporter? Yeah. Is that what you think? Like, these people, they're like, when liberals just yell something at you, they're like, I'm not thinking, I'm just mad, and I'm just gonna say things that I know are not true because I'm mad. And then you're like, haha, libtard, haha, liberals are dumb. Conservatives do the same thing. Like, I'm mad at the thing that you said because I like Trump so much. So I'm going to say you're voting for Kamala and you like Kamala. I know it's not true. I know there's no proof. You have hundreds of videos complimenting Trump and you don't have one complimenting Kamala. But I'm just going to say it because I'm mad and I'm right. But I know I'm wrong. But I'm right because I'm wrong. And you're wrong because you're right. And it's like, shut up. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's like the internet to me, where it's like, got like grown ladies having like mental breakdowns in my comment section. It's like, lady, like, this is not betterhelp.com. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a live stream. Keep it together, like, it's like a psychology lesson for the class in front of everybody, in front of like hundreds or thousands of people. It's like, we need to do this right now. You sure? Like, say I hate on Trump too much. If you think that, it's not true, but whatever. Say something that has like an element of truth to it. Don't just say I'm a Kamala supporter. Like, it doesn't, that's like objectively not in any way true. I probably complimented Trump in 30 different ways today, and I've said like one half semi nice thing about Kamala. I just said she's not a 10, but she's not ugly. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not going to compare her to ugly women. That would be really disrespectful. But like, a lot of people be like, "Oh, she's not my type." I'm not. I'm just saying she's not a 10, but she's also not like, she's like presentable. You know what I'm saying? She wears her pearl necklaces. There's some women in Congress where you look and you're like, ugh. You know the difference. There's like, and then there's like, the Lauren Boeberts of the world where you're like, and the AOCs where you're like, if she could just tone down her attitude a bit, maybe. And then there's others where you're like, and then there's others where you're like, not that. Or you don't do any of that and you're just like a good person and you don't look at politicians like that at all. And if you do that, I commend you, because that's what you should do. And what I just did is totally disrespectful. I'm going to apologize, do my local women's march, come back and learn my lesson, and never say something like that again, because it was totally unnecessary. would anyone really care about politics if it wasn't theatrical? Not as many people would, but it's an interest. I mean, it's definitely like interesting. You know, it's more interesting than like a lot of things nowadays. That's why so many people care about it, because it is a good show. Here's what I'll say, and on this note, if it's a show, let's have a show. Let's have fun with it. I'm not saying it's all good, but like you don't want to be angry all the time at it. You don't want to constantly be in a state of like confusion and like, can you believe? Can you believe that they had a bearded lady at the drag? I don't need like I just like I'm like what? Can you believe they did a drag show with a bearded lady and some obese like person with the Jesus thing at the Last Supper? Can you believe they did that? And it's like, yeah. Do I like it? No, but yeah, of course I could believe. Like, of course, yeah. Have you not looked around the world? Like, this is in no way, shape, or form surprising. You don't have to like agree with it, but then if you disagree with it, you gotta figure out like why. You know, like why is this happening? And there's a why that's happening that Republicans understand, and there's a why that's happening that a lot of Republicans don't understand. And it's like there's levels to like the understanding of like why. And then there's levels to like how to stop it. And a lot of people want it stopped of a lot of different ethnicities and religions, and there's no monolith. So you'll find diversity of thought within every, but you know, there's also certain trends and patterns. So it's what it is. Appreciate you guys. Enjoy yourself, and you know, enjoy the show, as they say. Ooh, QAnon. Enjoy the show, Patriots. Ready? We'll do a little Q free flow here. Enjoy the show. I'm gonna cue tag things together in order to fight the deep state right now. Enjoy the show. Think of a show. What's a show that's been on television in the last, I don't know, 17 years? 17 ringing a bell, folks. Letter 17 is Q. Breaking Bad. Wow. Breaking Bad. Let's tie that knot. Breaking Bad. Breaking Benjamin was a Benjamin Netanyahu. Breaking Benjamin Netanyahu was a band, you know, and then Yoo-hoo, as Kanye said in the Alex Jones interview, Yoo-hoo is a drink. It's a chocolate milk drink. Chocolate. Think of a chocolate company. Hershey's. Hershey Park is a theme park. Think theme song. Theme song for what? Theme song for Wheel of Fortune, perhaps? I don't know. Did somebody just squiggle down on their notepad? Pat Sajak and Vanna White. Wow, white. What does white make you think of? White man, possibly. White wall, whitewash. Think deeper. White paper towels. Everybody uses them. Bounty, quicker, picker, upper. Who's the quickest man on earth who's not white? Usain Bolt. Lightning bolt. Where's the last lightning storm that happened? Tennessee, Nashville. Nashville reminds me of Dolly Parton. Big titties. Who else has big titties? Well, you know, I don't want to really talk like this, but, you know, Jeff Bezos is dating a lady with some pretty big things. What's a thing? Thing is from Fantastic Four. 1, 2, 3, 4. Who's the fourth president of the United States? Let me look it up. Fourth president of the United States. Who was the fourth president? James Madison. Okay. James Madison, Madison Square Garden. Who's going to fight at Madison Square Garden later this year? John Jones. Well, who else was the Jones? Jim Jones, Jim Jordan. Jim Jordan is QAnon. So that's what it is, folks. If you don't like Jim Jordan, you're a piece of shit. You're a Democrat, you're AOC, you're a Kamala voter, and yeah, Jim Jordan's QAnon. So appreciate you guys. God bless you. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. Check out dreamrarebiz.com if you want to do business with me, or you have a small business, you want to do well on social media, you want to get them views up, get them sales up. Dreamrarebiz.com helps me stay independent. Dreamrare.com, pick yourself up a hat or a shirt. We got white hats for the Patriots there, white God bless hats, and that's the show for today. Hope you guys enjoy. I appreciate you, and let's make America great again. What do you say, folks? Appreciate you. Hey, what's going on, my friends? Just a few ways to stay in touch and support if you'd like to. The first way is dreamrare.com. We have blue beanies, black beanies, pink hats, other colored hats, freedom versus tyranny shirts, Stay Blessed long sleeve, God is Great long sleeve, and lots of more cool items coming soon. DreamRare.com. Check out the shop to support. Everything's made in the United States. Handpicked by me. Patreon.com/RareTalk. For $5 a month, you can help support me, support the show. If you haven't noticed, unlike other channels, I don't work with very many sponsors, sometimes none at all. And part of the way I'm able to do that is with the DreamRare.com shop and Patreon.com/RareTalk. So thank you guys for keeping this show free, unimpeded, uninterrupted. I'm forever grateful. My free email list is stayintouchwithme.com. So check the links below in the description or just type in on any browser, stayintouchwithme.com, all one word. You'll find my email list, put it in there, and it's the least annoying email list you'll ever be on. I barely use it because I don't like getting emailed every day or every week. It's annoying. So I don't do it. Stayintouchwithme.com. It helps me take back some power away from big tech. Telegram, t.me/DreamRareChat or @DreamRareChat. Due to censorship, I post all my live stream and videos there. Sometimes I have some bonus content, and I try to give people a heads up when Facebook or YouTube won't. DreamRareChat at Telegram. My Instagram is @DreamRare. Thanks for everybody following there for shorter content. And DreamRareLinks.com. That's DreamRareLinks.com. Has all my stuff. My podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, my music on Spotify and Apple, my Rumble page, my BitChute and Gab page. All my links are found at DreamRareLinks.com. Thanks for watching, folks. God bless you. You already know I'll be back with more.